Oh shit! Wait, I need headphones.
Hey.
Hi guys.
Hey, what's up? We
Okay.
didn't want to be too late, but we got it.
Hey.
Hi Cog. I see you in the waiting room. I'm gonna have you come on at the end of the stream, actually. But hey guys, so let's hop straight into it again. We
Cool.
have Winter, RD, Amelia,
Hey.
wife. Hey. All right, and we're super excited for this. Sorry for the delay. I had to go buy a microphone.
You did that
Forgot
fast.
my wallet.
I mean,
I
we
got there
only
and
like.
I forgot my wallet. I had to set up my Apple Pay.
Damn, that's 3 minutes, whatever late. That's nothing.
Yeah, that's not a huge deal at all whatsoever. I mean, a lot of times people aren't there right on the dot. You know, it happens.
So RD and Amelia, they wanted to go over. Ben was on Amarath today. If you have the clip of that.
I don't. I was like trying to see how I could find it, but I can't figure it out.
You could probably just pull up her clip. You could just pull up her clip.
Which one? The Amaranth clip?
Yeah. You could just pull hers up, and it's a fair use if you're stopping and talking. You know,
like on Kick or something. My worry is that Ava would have to my worry is that Ava would have to like find the clip out of like some giant chunk of time. We don't know. We can just go.
No, you just all you have to do is dang it.
Well, if everyone in the chat, we'll figure it out. Yeah,
because I was thinking that there's probably a way to figure out where he was, exactly where he came on, and I was thinking how to do that since his face doesn't come on, but
it wasn't even that interesting. It was like, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know if some of the chat saw him, but like Ben was on Amaranth, the like e-girl Twitch person, and he talked about the House for Wayward Hoes a bit. It was kind of like she was kind of just ignoring him vaguely. Anyway, it wasn't.
Yeah, like sarcastically placating him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Which while we're doing some stuff, I could probably just mute and kind of skim through and see if I could find it while we're talking about things.
Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
So let's just get right into it then. The first thing that I wanted to do is go back to our initial video that we did and go through the Grace appearance. It's kind of like what's the word for it?
Meta-analysis? No.
Yeah, yeah, like a 4D interception. All right, so pulling that up right now because this bitch, dude, we could not really get a word in edgewise. Every single question that you ask, like she just goes off on like this fucking bananas.
Yeah, I was having to go in, kind of trying to keep it I don't know, keep on subject, and then we talked about John a little bit, and then it fell apart.
Yeah.
Well, she got that example from the master.
Right.
The quote master.
Headphones real quick. I'll be right back.
Okay.
The sensei of narcissism.
Is that what Ben is? Yeah. Well, I guess for the people that were there last week, it was pretty interesting. And if I don't know, Ava's getting her headphones, but I feel like it's worth saying that I feel like part of the reason we're all doing this is, we were just talking about it, that it's like important, I think, for people to see this kind of behavior can exist in all kinds of people. Maybe not as extreme, but the way that Ben talks to people and beyond is, there's plenty of people that are like this that could be in each and every person's life. Anyway, I think it's worth talking about, not just on like one dramatic level. Anyway.
So let's see here immediately. So yeah, saying Courtney only wants to avoid, not deal with it. Let's go to 252. That's where she gets in. First you don't succeed.
I think it was because we kind of believed that she would come around.
You guys keep trying. So this is her explaining like what she wants, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. Time to talk to her and keep pushing it.
That is a good question. I think it was because we kind of believed that she would come around, and
What was
but I mean, essentially, yeah. Yes, sweetie.
I was just gonna ask what
Mommy.
was
Ew.
what was like the resolution that you wanted from her exactly?
I wanted her to, what I would say I wanted from her was for her to say, like, look, yeah, I mean, my relationship with your father is it's not a marriage. I think we both maybe tried our best, but like, I'm not capable of being a wife. My mothering of you guys was ludicrous. It was a constant oscillation between rage and then withdrawal because she felt bad about being angry. And, maybe we can move on and I can co-parent with your father, but it's not this like crazy intensity anymore. And, we can move on and do other things with our life. That's what I would have liked her to say.
But like, you believe that she was unfit to be.
So this part, I just wanted to highlight. So that's what Grace wanted. Is she just wanted Courtney. She justifies the abuse that she put her through. The first fight that we analyzed, when she's throwing water on her, she's freaking like just relentlessly harassing her, live streaming her when she's just trying to clean the kitchen and get some space. And they're acting as if this is this big crisis, this big thing they have to have solved. All that it really is they just want Courtney to admit their narrative.
Right, and the way that Grace is saying, like, she oscillates from, fighting us to like not like. I feel like we're about to see this even in the next video. Like, fighting Courtney is trying to exist in this crazy abusive gaslighting state, and then, as we'll see upcoming, she then gives up and is like, I'll just do whatever you guys want me to do. And then, of course, Courtney goes between these two things because Ben and Grace or really Ben is always going to, even if she gets in a state where she's not calm, but accepting whatever they want from her, they're always going to go back to the fighting stage with her too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then the next timestamp that I have, 2:54. I just wanted to reiterate this really quickly. Here, let me represent. Here we go.
It's just one of many stories where
wait, Grace.
You personally, do you have any friends that you know? Fundamental immaturity. I mean, even like yesterday, my brother Tom, he tells me the story. He's like, he goes, my sister Maggie, she's 14. She's looking for babysitting jobs, so she's in the car with him and my mom. And she goes, hey mom, do you have any friends that you know that maybe could have kids that I could babysit for them? And then she goes, oh, and then Maggie goes, well, let me rephrase that. Do you have any real friends? And my mom was like, you know what the answer to that question is, because she doesn't have friends in real life. Her friends are on Discord, which is just like, it's just one of many stories where
wait, Grace, do you have friends in real life?
Do I have friends in real life? Yeah.
So this is another thing where I wish that I like spoke up more, because before me and Grace were enemies, y'all. Frenemies, nemesis. She told me that once her like high school friends found out about the YouTube stuff, they saw the way that Grace treated her mom and all of this, like they were like, I'm out. They don't have, her and Ben don't have anybody either, and then that's what she's using as the like immediate example of this is why Courtney's unfit to be a mother.
Yeah, I mean,
projection.
Well, right. I said to her, like, who's your friend? Your friend is like Lalo now. No hate. It's just that's who. When she had that rope stream, she basically said Lalo is the one guy, and I guess she thought Darius was her friend, but I don't think they're friends anymore. So at least Courtney has way more internet friends, I'd say. Even not there's anything wrong with that. But yeah, she kind of just you said that, and she kind of just like moved on. It didn't matter.
Yeah. And then I have this link that I put on our sheet. We'll go back to that later. So then at 3:05, Grace describing how her dad never... So then she's explaining, oh, Courtney is bad. Just all of this, like the logic that they use is just completely flawed.
Grace describes how her dad never disengaged.
But staying in a lie about that is not helpful to anyone in this situation.
It just seems like the way to
if you sign up,
and not let her leave, then force her to do a random chat with Hormaxer.
Nobody forced her to do a random chat. You put things in terms of that. Nobody forced her to. She came up with that herself. But wait, my mom said, Ben says I'm all about power, but in actuality, he is. Facts. My dad has never turned me away. He's never not responded to my texts. He's never ghosted me. He's never left me on red. He has never said, I won't talk to you if you want to talk. I was on the phone with my mother, I think 2 nights ago, maybe last night. And I started crying. And she said, oh, I get it. I get what you're doing here. You're trying to make me feel bad. And she hung up on me.
So what Grace conveniently leaves out here is that her and her dad, like, she does not treat her dad how she treats her mom. Like, of
Right.
course, you're like, it's a completely different dynamic. So
Right.
of course, that's
There's
the
a different
case.
set of rules, a different set of expectations. There's always an explanation for why Ben has done something not, and versus Courtney is yeah, totally. For sure.
Okay, now the next one, 307. Grace says that physical abuse means that someone just really cares about you.
Which is insane to even believe that or think that.
Bizarre. And he was like, what the fuck's going on? Did he get a little wound up? Yes. But actually it shows that he cares about me, that he's actually crazier and crazier and crazier.
As a parent towards you?
Yeah, he's not perfect, but the context of that was that I was acting crazier and crazier and crazier, and he was. I do this thing where I sort of mentally withdraw, and then I start acting in ways that are bizarre, and he was like, "What the fuck's going on?" Did he get a little wound up? Yes, but actually, it shows that he cares about me.
So that was in regards to him, like,
slapping her,
trying to hit her. Yeah.
Right.
Shows that he cares.
Well, right. So if she can make an excuse for, we all have seen the slap where it's like it doesn't fully, I guess, connect, but either way, he tried to hit her. There will always be a reason that he should be able to do something, where if Courtney in the video we watched before is trying to show autonomy and have space of her own, she doesn't really deserve that. I mean, the whole time Grace just kind of like laughed it off and said we were basically overreacting, you know?
Yeah. So then the next one is coming right up here.
Slapping Ava and saying
your mom want different things. You like the relationship you have with your dad and all the stuff, like stripping in the woods for your dad.
I understood it as humiliation. Yes, I understood.
Okay, so you're okay with that, and your mom wasn't. In the video I feel like we watched, was your mom fighting against it, saying, I don't like the way you're treating me. And it's like these two things just don't work, and you're caught in the middle. No wonder.
Well, if she didn't like the way he was treating her, then why didn't she just leave? I mean, it works.
So that's going to be a recurring theme here is, well, Courtney can just leave. She can just leave. What happens when she leaves?
Right. What happens when she does leave? She gets demonized, or they never leave her alone, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's gonna be like a huge recurring thing. I have more notes.
Also, it's interesting. She was talking about, we remember Grace went to Seattle and hung out with a person and got scared, and so her dad told her to jump out the window, go into the woods, out wherever that was, where she didn't, some creepy woods, and then get naked for him. She even admits that's what she did. It was a humiliation ritual for him. I think I kind of skipped past it because I was trying to get her to talk about different stuff, but that's pretty, I don't understand how you can normalize that. Like,
yeah, you know? What kind of father would do that?
Right. Like,
I mean, almost no father would choose that as a punishment for their daughter. Yeah. Almost none.
Ben described it as some kind of this is his own words, some kind of psychodrama, psychosexual learning process. And Grace describes it as a humiliation ritual. Most people would say that's abusive, that's creepy, that's weird. But I wonder what would happen if, and the shoe was on the other foot. Maybe Grace would admit that it's bad, but yeah. Okay, we can
and it's funny. It's like if Courtney were to do the same thing, they would be like using that against her. But yeah, that whole situation was like it's very difficult, because it's like when you have something that's that blatantly fucked up and they don't see it as fucked up, it's like, how are you ever supposed to like convince them that anything is abusive if they don't think that is abusive?
Yeah.
Like I've been trying to wrap my mind around that, what we could say here. And then, okay, so now I have an interesting, maybe we won't show that actually, but 322,
30. Yeah.
Sort of the problem is like it seems like she's really trying, but it doesn't make sense if it's if it's like, if you're looking at it long term, Okay, doing a couple hours of housework and then really putting all of your effort into a conversation doesn't make sense. It's not mature. What you would do is maybe you would say like, well, because 3 hours of like minor physical labor, there was a massive problem. There was a crisis, and it's not going to be solved by sort of like very super.
So again, back to reiterate what we said earlier, the massive problem. Oh shit, I wasn't playing it. Oh.
I heard some of it.
Hold on.
Yeah, we heard it.
You heard it? Okay, she was like, yeah,
visual.
there was a massive problem. There was a crisis. Oh shoot. The crisis was that Courtney wouldn't admit their narrative.
Well, right.
Nothing else was going on.
The Courtney. I mean, what also was she talking about in that? Maybe we could play a little bit more. Just she was talking about physical labor. I forgot. Just in that clip. I'm just interested. I don't know.
What you would do sense if it's if you're looking at it long term. Okay, doing a couple hours of housework and then really putting all of your effort into a conversation doesn't make sense. It's not mature. What you would do is maybe you would say like, well, because 3 hours of like minor physical labor, there was a massive problem. There was a crisis, and it's not going to be solved by sort of like very superficial shows of. I'm not saying what she did was wrong, but it's just like it's not correct to the situation.
Wait, I have a question.
When he's bombing your house, you don't start doing.
So
you say like, I hope it stops. You say.
Huh. I don't know. I'm kind of forgetting the context. I don't know if the chat or anyone remembers. She was talking about her mom, like not doing enough work for the house. Anyway, we can keep moving on. But
okay, so the next thing. This is the big part that I will probably clip here when we go to 3:33. This is when Grace goes on to explain her views on incest. Here we go.
No, I think it's a hilarious clip. It works for both. What the point is that all of these abuse allegations are just people seething, because it honestly, even if you say it's all true, the problem is that it totally works for both me and my dad.
Okay, all right. Like,
so
we're leftist faggots. Like me and my wife are leftist faggots. So I guess like you'd assume.
Well, we're both consenting adults, right? If this is all true, we'd both be consenting adults. I got all the money, right? I manipulated my dad into giving me all of his money. I do have all of it. I've manipulated him into ditching my mom, paying all the attention to me, taking care of me, giving me my own place, giving me a career, right? Like, if it's all true, how would I be the loser, or how would he be the loser? Isn't it?
Into having a restraining order and not being able to be in the same household as your siblings.
My mom, who has no money, taking care of my siblings, who would be screwed over if that was all true.
Okay, so then that is okay. Well, and I remember once you said in like a VC, you're like, oh, why is everyone so obsessed with incest? Like, is it because the father is supposed to be like trusting? Like, is it going against a daughter to like do that with her? That's maybe what some people's issue with incest is. That like it's
I think the reason people are so wound up about incest is because they find it hot and they don't know what to do about it. I honestly, like, if you look at Pornhub, it's like
people find it hot.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, she was referring to the Lalo clip we all know, which was Ben jokingly admitting to the incest allegations from last week, and then now Grace said kind of her own version of it, which is like, if this is all true, look at all the positives. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, there's no way you can catch them in their thing, because they know everything,
Right.
They know the legality, they know everything about it, so it's wild.
So the thing with this, I want to address this comment. That's why people believe a character is involved, because it's hot. So a weird thing that they do is they mesh trolling and like in reality together. I think some of it, but I'm just not exactly like it's hard to tell, because it's like the same thing of they'll say that it's trolling. They're trolling Courtney back when Grace was downstairs and throwing water at her.
Right. I mean, here's a good example. There's Grace was on a stream. I don't know when it was, but there's a stream with somebody named, I think, Zine. I'm gonna say their name wrong, but they were on a stream with someone named, not Zena, but it was like Zeno or something. Sorry, whoever that was. But Grace was talking about how for streamers like Darius, they have content and it's kind of blurs the lines between fiction and reality. And I think what Grace and Ben kind of do is they kind of take the fact that a lot of people watch streamers and assume that they're putting on a show and doing
yes, very much so.
And they're doing like a lie or a joke or prank, or things are kind of mixed. But it's like maybe somebody like Darius is doing a weird content only thing to make their life seem more interesting than his life really is. No hate, like, you know, whatever. But with, I think, Ben and Grace, what they're doing is they're saying, oh, this is all content, so maybe it's fake. And so, yes, you do have people saying, oh, yeah, this is all an act. But I think there's other people that go, maybe it's an act, maybe it isn't. So I'm just not going to think about it too hard. You know what I mean? Like, for them, I think Ben really likes that, is he likes to obfuscate. Just like what he did on Lalo's stream, he says, let's imagine this whole thing is true. The thing
he
with
likes
me,
the ambiguity. Yeah.
Right.
Hypothetically.
Right. And then he says a bunch of stuff that's shocking and crazy, but then can go back later and say it was all a joke. And it was all, I mean, Ben literally did that. If you look at his Twitter, he said, oh, Ethan Ralph put this out of context. You know, I'm just saying everyone's envious of me, which that's even insane too. Nobody's envious of Ben for fake joking about being in an incestuous relationship with his daughter.
Right. I was just getting ready to say that. Why would anybody be envious of that? You know, why?
No, yeah. And then same with what Grace just told us. She said, you know, this is all a plus for me. I got all the money, which, by the way, like, great for people that don't know, Ben gave Grace the last of the money that they have. But most people think it's just a way for Ben to keep the money from Courtney if there was a divorce. That's what a lot of people think. Because
that's exactly. Oh, it's no thinking to it. It's absolutely what happened, because he admitted it.
Yeah.
He admitted it in a VC. That's why he did it. If not on a live, he may have even said it on a live.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Let's continue on with this clip here.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Step-bro, step-sis, stepmom, stepdad, but like obviously the real thing would be hotter. They're just putting that there. I mean, I think people are sexually stimulated by the concept of this, which I think is kind of gross, but I think everybody else finds it, or a lot of people find it like hot, and so then they feel like they have to have moral outrage to. You know, a lot of the times, if you yourself are secretly in the closet, you'll rampage against gay people because you are projecting your insecurity about yourself.
Right.
So do you think that that's like the same case with like pedophilia? Is that the reason why people are so?
I don't want to talk about. We don't have to. Personally,
I honestly think if you asked men and they were super, super honest, pedophilia is not really an issue with women at all. Like it's almost negligible. But I think if you asked your average man, I think because porn and stuff has been pedophiliized, so that like sort of the perfect pussy would.
So then we get into that. I kind of
that.
But
yeah. What did you want to say about that
one? Dude, I mean, it's just like, so she's saying people secretly want to have sex with their parents and that they think it's hot, which is just like biologically, like if they're going off of like so much of their philosophy is like based off of weird stuff like, oh, black kids have more testosterone, so they're harder to parent, and like all of this weird like evolutionary stuff. And then yet when it comes to this, it's like, oh no, it's actually hot and it's Freudian. There's not something that would maybe prevent people from being attracted to their parents because genetics.
Right.
Yeah, it's never based in reality. It's all like based in fantasy and pornography. I mean, you know.
Because yeah, that's where it comes from. I think, I don't know. I think maybe Ben. This is, again, we're not therapists, you guys. Just like people have asked, we're not psychologists. We're just people who are looking at this, humans having thoughts. But I don't know if it was Ben used the fact that maybe Grace had seen that kind of pornography, like stepmom, stepdad, and it feels like what Grace is doing to us is explaining. We don't know for sure. Maybe she was explained it in that way. Like, look, everyone searches this stuff. This is just like this hot thing. And like some people deny it, but come on, we all feel this way. But of course, we're all saying to Grace, no, not everyone feels this way. I bet there's people that we don't have to get into porn and what people like, but I'm sure there are people that watch that kind of porn and it's not because they really want to sleep with their parents.
Yeah.
Right. And like it's been said before, is a lot of them, it's not even like biological incest anyway. It's like step parent and stuff, in the porn.
Right. Like, we all know that somebody can watch porn about somebody being like kidnapped or some kind of event. They don't really want to kidnap and hurt somebody. Like, porn isn't always literalized.
Right.
I think everyone knows that.
And Ben always talks about like daddy-daughter play, and obviously,
yeah,
it is just like a play thing. Like you would like role play as that, but like the real deal is disgusting. So
yes.
Yeah. Okay, we can keep moving on.
All right. Let's see here. So yeah, and then if you guys just want to review like the John call out, because I think that that's the most like progress or like the newest thing where you kind of get them to like divulge or question their narrative, kind of stump them a little bit there. We haven't seen that in a while, I think. So
like what Ben
over.
Yeah, do it.
Here we go.
You just keep begging them for that and they don't give it to you. Yeah, eventually you will lose. Sometimes you lose control.
Here's another thing I've always wanted to ask you. Once we were on a stream and I talked about John and you cried. Everyone said you were fake crying. And then also it showed like you posted a bunch of texts from your dad. I can understand maybe you don't want to respond to this, but your dad was really pissed in those texts that you were crying about your brother. Do you think that's like healthy behavior?
I think that, for instance, with my brother John, I think there's an unhealthy part. Like, I think in a family there can be an unhealthy sort of sentimentality. Like, if I was actually with my brother John, I would find it incredibly tense and sort of like, I don't like him as a person. I think he has some good aspects, but like he's absolutely like attempted to ruin my reputation online. So, but there's this sort of fake sentimentality, like, oh well, we used to grow up together, and it's like, blah, it's sick.
And also, I like how she equivocates like him trying to expose Ben as ruining her reputation.
Right.
Unhealthy. It's like worshiping your family.
So it's
not actually true.
So it sounds like your dad is saying you shouldn't feel sentimental about your brother. You shouldn't worship your family, but they're your family. You love them. Sounds like someone else might say that he's trying to desensitize you to not like your brother or to feel less sentimentality towards him. I don't think that's a healthy father personally, but that's just my opinion.
I don't think sentimentality is good. It leads you to leads you to sort of like lie about what's happened to make things seem better. Rose-colored glasses.
So then what's love? How do you express love towards your people you love without being sentimental?
Like honest, sober reality and like doing things that make sense. That's how you show love.
Okay, because I really think that when you cried that you were showing a part of yourself that was really wounded and was like, I love my brother and he's hurt me so much by saying this fucked up shit. That's what I think. And anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's kind of gay. Like, all right, get over it.
Right, okay, it's gay.
Whatever, he's an asshole.
So in a sense, your dad, a word, and I don't use this lightly, is kind of brainwashed you to say, don't be sentimental about your brother. Don't have positive feelings about your brother. He's the enemy. So I just think that's unhealthy.
Yeah.
And then she goes Ghislaine Maxwell mode.
Yeah.
Okay, not a victim, blah, blah. You're not I know you don't like that word. Okay. How about this?
Look, guys, look, RD's wife, you can call me or you can call my dad. My dad will put a kid in you and he'll beat you without any rules. He'll do the BDSM stuff. He'll do the BDSM stuff.
He'll put a kid in you. He'll beat you without any rules.
So she says this thing that is supposed to shock us and make us all feel uncomfortable and scared, which didn't do much, to be honest. It was just like, okay, it's like some crazy person coming up to me in the street and saying whatever. But I think it's interesting because whenever, if anyone's seen the stream, I don't know what exact stream it was where I said to talk to Grace about John, she started crying about John, how much she cared about him and thought about, him from back when they were kids. And there were, like I mentioned it, there was a text that was leaked that said like her dad being mad she cried about him. And I think it's interesting that the moment we pushed back on her and said, hey, it's okay to be sentimental, it's okay to love your brother, whatever she knew I have to show to my dad, in my opinion, that I'm kind of on his side no matter what, Yeah,
it's like 100%.
Yeah, and it's like, if I can, the way, not only did she kind of saying like, I'm loyal to you, Dad, she was making sure to do it in the kind of brutal, vulgar way, right? She had to rope us all, right? So hoping we would kick her off, I think, before anything. But she quit. She was the one who quit.
Wait, so I want to add this person COG and see if they're legit because they claim to have been
I think I know who this is.
psychologist.
I think I know who this is.
Are they legit or no?
I mean, I think they were on a stream once with Grace, and I mean, I don't want to be me. I don't know if it was helpful, but we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome. COG. Hello.
Oh, is he not there?
Hello.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, you were on a stream with me once.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And I logged in, but it's I tried to talk to her for a little bit, but then I realized the level that she's at, and I'm not COG, the British dude.
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Yeah,
1 second.
there became a point where it was irrelevant for me to even try to bother because she wasn't hearing it, and then I had Darius yelling over me at the same time.
So what are your credentials?
Okay, so my undergrad was psychology and psychiatric rehabilitation. My master's is in rehabilitation counseling. I have an LPC, which is expired because I retired, and I have a license in CBT and motivational interviewing.
Okay.
All
right. We'll keep you for a bit on here. Let's go to the fight. Do you have anything that you want to add from what we've been reviewing?
Sure. First thing I wanted to say is that where she's at is there's something called the stages of change, where I used to deal with people who are mainly delusional or Axis 1 diagnoses. So when somebody is delusional, they are in this stage where it goes like pre-contemplation, contemplation, action, etc. She's in pre-contemplation right now, which means in general, she is not even thinking about changing. Now, in theory, when somebody has, like, I'm going to assume like a fixed delusion, that's because it's the closest thing to what Grace is dealing with here. What you would do is you would address it by kind of developing discrepancies. The small things that you mentioned before, like when you said it's okay to show some empathy or sentimentality, kind of challenging any little part where she's seeing something in a far too rigid type of understanding. And then at that point, giving her something to think about. And also, like, to maybe reframe it in a way where you can project a thought into her mind, like where you're saying, well, what would it be like if you were in school? Can you imagine what it would be like on if you were alone? She starts thinking about it, and she's resistant to any change at this point. So in general, you have to unravel the whole issue that's happened from this ridiculous trauma bond that they have together.
Okay.
That makes
sense. That definitely makes sense. I just want to address this comment really quick. This says, I feel like all of you guys have gone back and forth as to whether the incest rumors are true or not. But then you deny John is ruining Grace's reputation by saying she's in an incestuous relationship. So, I think we can all agree here that we all believe, just to clarify, that we don't have evidence. This is just what's the word that people use?
I mean, this is what we've inferred from I don't know.
Allegedly. Watching. Yeah, like from all of and I'd say all of us have been following them for a while, especially Winter and RD. And we do believe that Grace was groomed by her dad. I don't think it's fair to say, I don't think it's fair to say that Grace is like equal in participating in this incestuous relationship.
And I'll say this. I like, there was times when I would talk to Grace and originally and say, oh, I don't know for sure, because I was, I just discovered all this stuff and I wanted to have an open mind. But if this is Grace talking, whenever I know that it really hurt Grace, the way that her brother John has used like certain things, like calling her a whore or kind of using language like that. And I can understand that if we believe that those allegations are true, that to someone who's a victim of that stuff, to hear like, oh, you're a whore or whatever, that makes them feel like, well, I can understand how that could hurt them. So, you know, I think John has his own reasons for saying that stuff, and he's kind of trying to get out of this whole cult too. So I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I completely don't think that calling you names, if those allegations are true, is a helpful thing. I don't know if that makes sense.
But I think the main point, that's definitely agree with that. And like the main point is that John, he's not going out and saying, and so it's targeted at Ben.
Well, Ben is
It's
the
not
instigator.
like Grace
of
is not at fault,
all
and
of
any
this.
sane person knows that Grace is not at fault here for being a
Right,
victim
but-
of this grooming. It's not slanderous to her.
No,
They're the ones
no.
that put it out there initially. They're the ones that
a lot of
wanted
the
John on
times-
stream.
Right.
What
She's
were
a
you
lot
gonna-
of the times like used as a mouthpiece for Ben though. So it's
Yeah.
like she gets that.
Well,
you know?
that's the whole grooming process that's been going on for a
Mhm.
long time. I mean, you can clearly see that she mirrors what she's saying, what he's saying, his beliefs. I mean,
Mhm.
it gets to the point where she believes trauma bonding is healthy. And when I mean trauma bonding, let me just try to define it like clearly. So in general, you treat the other person with abuse, like intimidation, threats, humiliations, harassment, but you also kind of give some form of affection and connectedness at the same time. So when you see Grace and Ben talking, and Grace is not feeling it, she does not actually want to be there, you hear her just saying, yeah, because she's scared to actually disagree with Ben, because Ben will fuck her up or do something to her, punish her in some way. So you could tell that there's these points where she's sick of this shit, but then she has nowhere to go because this is already her identity. So she's kind of stuck in this world that Ben created for her.
Right.
Yeah.
And we've seen like the almost slap. I don't know if you've seen that clip, Cog, but where
Yes.
you know, Grace is annoyed or she's trying to
did.
like help Ben. They were like trying to deal with Telegram or something like that, and it wasn't working out. And you know, if she gets annoyed or he gets annoyed, something violent can happen. So clearly she doesn't have that room to just go off. Or what I think is interesting though too is the rope stream where Grace is like, fuck everyone, fuck Ethan Ralph, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
That was almost like, it felt like Ben kind of saying to her, it's okay, go off. Like, no, dad, like dad's gonna let you go off and have your moment to like kind of
Right.
express yourself. So
But
it's like,
I mean, like it was weird to watch her disagree with points of view that she claimed were like only like MGTOW guys, but are obviously like the same as Ben. So she hates it when it comes from other people, but when it comes from her dad, she does agree with it.
right, like the example, right, in that video, if you guys have seen it, she talks about how annoying these like MGTOW guys are, but like her dad says stuff like, you know,
absolutely identical to those things. Yeah.
Yes, very
Like-
much so.
So it's weird to see her, go off, I guess, on like those dudes and those like opinions, but
Well, she
it's
mirrors that. She mirrors Ben in the way that she speaks, in the context she talks.
Yes.
You deliver everything.
Yes.
Absolutely,
it's
yeah.
a big mirror, because when somebody, like, let's just say incest is real, or whatever happened that caused the segregation of the family is legit. Bottom line is they become like a pair versus the rest of the family. The people who are then rejected from the family, because that often happens when there's an incident like this, the family splits into two. Then there's a minimization of the whole process on one side, and another person, and the side that is separate isn't based in reality. So what you see when she's dealing with her mother and states these things that are clearly illogical. Okay, so she's stating all these things that really just don't make much sense about, like, I think people need to be hit sometimes, it's fine, all these things that have been kind of groomed into her through her experience. and now
Mhm.
he's trapped her in this identity online, so she can't escape who she is forever.
Right.
So
Mhm.
it's a feeling of helplessness she must also be feeling
Right. And
behind all this.
I think it's interesting how and by the way, just as an example, like when people were saying, you know, what if someone is saying what MGTOW ideas does Ben have? You know, we all know he believes that a man shouldn't clean the house, a man shouldn't take care of the
Mhm.
children. By the way, I just wanted to add that. But I think
Right.
the complexity of like what Ben does, like the example of letting Grace go on that trip to LA, like
Mhm.
where he's like, look, she can do whatever she wants. She went on a trip to LA. But at the same time, that trip to LA, she was sent to hang out with Darius. Darius didn't necessarily treat her the best. He slapped her at the beginning and then, you know, went into a bathroom to kiss her. And then
Yeah.
she
The
goes,
thing is, I don't know exactly what happened on that Darius trip. I assume there is a lot of kind of acting at the same place, but
well,
I
right,
can't. But that's the thing is, it's mixed in with reality, so she
right,
can say it's not relevant if it was. You know?
right. I mean, and I just think it's interesting. He sends her to Seattle. She meets up with somebody who, you know, she actually gets freaked out by, and I don't know. All I can say is, of course, she met Ava, and that was, you know, a positive thing. But in the end, it seems like Ben's kind of able to say, "Look what happens when you leave the house. You meet up with a bunch of
Mhm.
weirdos who
Oh
want to
yeah.
like have sex with you and treat you like creepy and strange. Look,
Well, I
look what
mean,
happens."
it goes without saying that the more time she spends away from Ben, the least likely she is going to be returning to Ben. So
Right,
even if something happens, I assume Ben is going to be catastrophizing the situation in order to
right,
reinforce the fact that no, you're not safe anywhere. You have no ability to live by your own, which she said many times.
hmm,
Totally nuts. She would do great in college in a dorm or something,
right, right.
you
No,
know?
I agree.
But
W-
she just doesn't believe that because her father has ingrained that into her.
Right.
Mhm.
I
Um,
yeah. Do you want to go through the
I
videos or what do you?
yeah, I kind of want to get
Yeah,
this
let's go.
Let's do it.
on the road here. So let's just review really quickly. I have another concept. Last time we went over what circular conversation was in the beginning of the first video, episode 1 that we did of this. And I discovered this. It's called triangulation. I would say that these are the two main things that I wish that I knew what this was before, but I finally figured out. I'm like, this is a perfect way to describe what Ben has done. So brings a third person into the relationship in order to remain in control. So essentially, and it's literally, I mean, right here, triangulation, the golden child, scapegoat family dynamic. So this is literally the golden child is Grace, scapegoat is John, and he brings
Or-
Grace in, and then those two are together, and then it's a 2v1 dynamic. Essentially, is what triangulation is.
And then I
They
guess
bring in
what?
another
Okay, triangulation in romantic relationships where that happens with
order to create
Courtney.
discord, confusion, and jealousy. The disordered individual will enjoy the attention, whether negative or positive, and may even let triangulated
I can
individuals
read
feel
some of this if you want, or you just want to go through.
sometimes. Let's see. Well, essentially, so this website is a little bit long-winded, but
But
essentially
the
it is just that 2v1 dynamic of bringing somebody else in and then manipulating them into being on your side and adding more
and then
pressure onto the other person.
Well,
gotcha. Oh yeah, would you have any thoughts?
I mean, I just briefly, the fact that, that the mother is considered the scapegoat in a situation, or the mother's, anybody who agrees with the mother is considered that, that's the real triangle. It's just Grace and Ben versus the rest of the family. It's not just the
And
mother, but not the younger kids. It's like they're not involved yet. They don't really even exist, it seems. But
Although he does play the younger kids against Courtney. I don't know if you know that.
yeah,
Like,
of
Yes,
course.
very,
yeah.
very
Mhm.
badly.
Like I don't want to get into like diagnosing them, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
clear. It's clear that there's all kinds of like
Things that
uh,
play.
there's all kinds of narcissism. There's sadism involved.
Oh,
Mhm.
absolutely. Both for
There's
sure.
Yeah, there's, I mean, he is such a low level manipulator, and I've worked with people who have borderline personality. The people I worked with were the people who failed out of all programs, so I was kind of like the last resort in my program. So so what happens is, man,
Do you want to just go through the video? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we
yeah,
don't.
let me pause and
Yeah,
I'll just
we
respond when you'd
appreciate
like
you.
me to.
Yeah, no. Feel free to jump in though when we're talking. I appreciate it.
So
Okay, thank you.
this is the first time, and this next live stream is called New Beginnings. It's the one that happens the day after the life of a female philosopher.
Right. So for the people, I just want to say for the people that watched the last one, you know, Courtney tries to leave. They won't let her leave. They, you know, Ben's abusing her through Grace. Courtney goes on a stream with Ben, and he kind of allows her to say, "Look, I'll let you sleep in the house, and you can wake the kids up and have this nice, you know, something she hadn't done in a couple weeks or a month at least." So this is the next day for Courtney. And keep in mind, all this started because there was a divorce court day that happened the day before. So anyway, sorry. So there's new beginnings. I think Courtney's in a happy mood, and she's feeling excited.
Yes. She wakes up early. Ben and Grace are still sleeping through the whole beginning of it, and she's so low. And then I timestamped this because this is the first time that a chatter brings up the fight from last night.
Right down my list. Fluffy unicorn. Hey, I like your that's me. I like your why does your family have so little respect for you? I'm new, so I don't know any of the backstory. I find it incredibly harsh though. Keep your chin up, things can only get better. Okay, Fluffy unicorn. There's two pieces of information that you need to know when you say that. One is that like I couldn't possibly explain like the whole backstory, but like I think if you watched, you would kind of see like where I'm off and why people are like upset with me. And the second thing is that like when you support me, I'm super uncomfortable with that. So I don't know what to say. Like,
So I wanted to note her
interesting.
being like, "Oh, I'm super uncomfortable with anyone supporting me," and I didn't want to like go through too much in this video, but earlier she does another thing of being like, "Oh, it's so cringe to be a victim. I don't want to call myself a victim and all this stuff."
Right.
The worst thing
instilled that in
possible.
her.
Yeah, that's the worst thing to be to Ben and Grace for sure.
This is an
She's
extension.
been fighting all night. That's why she looks manic.
I think it's kind of an extension of what Grace has been going through for a very long time, to the point where, you know, lack of her own self-worth is so low that she doesn't feel like she's deserving of anything positive. And if Grace ages, she's going to result just like this. I'll pause again.
Exactly. One of his opinions
I agree.
is that women are worth nothing post youth. So I can't imagine what that would do to your self-esteem, you know.
Being Grace, yeah.
Okay, next clip here.
And yeah, I feel like, well, that's like I shouldn't say that. Like, I don't know. There's something like, okay, there's something wrong with me. Like, I cannot like even say how that feels. The first word that comes to my mind is exhausting. And yeah, I feel like, well.
Oh yeah, a chatter asked her how she feels here.
That's like, I shouldn't say that, like, because like, it's like brain melted. It's all done. I'm just done. Like, just all I can think of is like, you know, hey, like, why don't I do some dishes instead of talking about feels? Some dishes that need to be done. Maybe
So yeah, she doesn't even want to talk about her feelings here.
Instead, you should do something.
Go there.
Yeah, instead you should do something physical. And obviously, like, to just throw it in without naming people, like, there's a whole bunch of people that were a part. I wasn't there for it, that were there trying to help Courtney, trying to talk to her, and trying to get her out of this state. And I think some of them really helped her, and that's why Courtney's in a better place now, in a lot of people's opinion. So anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, what did I write here? Yeah, her feelings have been so repeatedly invalidated, she can't even talk about them by herself because she knows she'll get ridiculed for it later, possibly. I was thinking that might be another aspect of it, just another whole, oh, you're a victim, you're a victim.
Yeah,
things
always polls.
Yes.
That's a
Things-
that's a big aspect of triggering another conversation with Ben, where she just gets abused endlessly in a circle.
Yeah, and she's scared that if I talk about my feelings, this is just going to trigger something where I'm going to get in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the next time stamp that I have, skipping ahead, it's her just playing ukulele, doing some cleaning, trying to make.
I loved her ukulele song, by the way.
Yeah.
She did some karaoke. She's sang
really
some cool
into
songs.
that. Yeah.
No, and it makes
And
sense. Like it's a way to express your feelings without, talking about them directly. So I don't know.
So then we finally get on to, this is something that Ben has been talking about, or he's been in the last fight that they had the night before, he was basically just trying to convince her, Courtney, can you admit you've been abused by your family? This is all like you and like those problems coming to light, and that's what's causing all these issues, and just basically really drilling into her, you need to figure out like your issue with your mother, and like and for some reason he wants to convince her that she like shouldn't apologize to her mother and like all this weird stuff. So now she's like thinking about that as per his direction.
Right, thinking about her mom and the issue she has.
It was a task on her list of
Basically,
things
give
to
out
do.
Riley.
Wait, was what?
Oh, so much grease on this.
Was to go over whether or not she should apologize to her mother.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I honestly believe she's the most well-adjusted.
Yeah,
in
you don't want
this
to talk about it.
three.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well,
And
she
that's
gets
great
better
about-
from, I think a lot of people have said she's doing a lot better. She's away from Ben. Well, we don't have to talk about it right now, but
She still has a lot of very lingering issues. Cog.
course.
I mean, she's still very much in Stockholm. We talked to her a lot behind the scenes, and she goes in and out of that Stockholmish type thing, which I guess is par for the course, because I have an actual real life friend that was formerly diagnosed with it, and she does the same thing where she goes in and out, in and out.
She's kind of paralyzed, and like emotionally she's paralyzed. She physically is scared to do anything. It's been like just listening to Ben talk for an hour. Now imagine that conversation not stopping, and he doesn't say nice things, and when he does, it's going to be for only a second before he switches off to attack.
Right.
And to be clear, when I said that she's the most like stable of the three, what I meant is she's dealing with the PTSD that the entire family has in the most healthy way.
Right.
Yeah. She hasn't let it completely.
She's trying to. You can see her. She's fighting, kind of. Yeah, you want to keep going? Sorry.
Yeah. Let's play this right here.
Okay, so the question is, should I apologize to my mom? Well, I mean, only if I'm sorry, right? Like, so the question is, am I sorry for smashing her stuff up?
So, and this is interesting. Yeah. So basically, so she was like on a stream, and she was talking to Ben and Grace, and she was at her mom's house. This is when she
her
left
beach
before
house.
she came back. Yeah, her mom's beach house, and she starts like, and then they're encouraging her to like troll her mom, and then she starts like tearing apart some like little lighthouse knickknack.
It was a mailbox, and I used to remember what else it was, but I can't remember now. It was like one was a mailbox that her mother had hand painted like a bird on, and I can't remember what the other two little things were. Or can't remember.
So it's like,
and
Ben,
then they encourage it, yeah, and they're like laughing and like, oh, this is content, and then later down the line, now they're using it against her and being like, look, you're so crazy for doing this.
Which one of Ben's tactics is to get somebody whipped up, pump them up into something like that. That's what he did. He like built it and built it and built it, and then pumped her up into doing until she was like, yeah, okay, and would do it. And then what he does is then after he gets them to that point where he knows they're going to do it, and there's no really turning back, that he's pumped them up to the point they're going to.
Oh,
I I also wanted to point out, I said it's crazy that Court doesn't even know if she'll be able to stay, and she's still up and cleaning. Which I'm just like, which is like, she's really like, she's trying, like she is. I wanted to give her props for that, you know, like they're
For
being so
sure.
unwelcoming to her.
No, yeah, and then she's cleaning the house. She's showing for Ben, like doing these kind of household chores that the wife should do, the woman should do. That's the way that you show love.
Right. I think she's doing exactly what Ben wants her to do at that moment, and then it's not good enough, of course. So.
Yeah. And it's like someone's, and then they like ridicule her for even that later. Grace and RVC.
Yeah.
Anyways, so this is finally when Ben and Grace wake up, and immediately they're like, all right, time to resume our fight. But it's weird because they're not fighting anymore, even though, as we reviewed earlier, Grace is saying, oh my God, it's so like, there's this crazy thing and we have to address it and blah, blah, blah. And then they're just acting all.
Well, it's like, I think it's almost like, since she's given them what Ben wants, which is to simply say, like, I give up. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I won't fight anymore. Ben gives her this kind of gives her a positive vibe, but his version of being positive, we'll see, is to not look at Courtney in the eye and to like hold court and just kind of like, you know, tell her how to feel. Anyway, we'll see it.
Okay, so here we go.
What do you want to see? Like, you know, there are great singers out there.
So Courtney's making food for Ben, by the way. She's making Ben a cheese plate, by the way.
Yeah, just give me a second. I'm just peeling that orange up.
Okay, you're on.
Are you gonna be like interviewing me?
Those damn crackers and cheese.
Yeah.
They have been a recurring theme. Those damn crackers and
So
cheese.
it's 1:30 p.m. Wednesday, March 15th.
Well, everything stream's already going. Right?
Yeah. So how are we feeling this afternoon? How do you feel about your entire life being streamed?
Well, that was interesting to wake up to.
Yeah.
It's like 1:30.
Wow, it really was like it was like night and day. So.
Nacho Man B-Sock Sandwich says, your feet look effed up.
Let's see. We have
Sister Hannah says, Daddy Ben, the king of the house.
So yeah, Ben is looking. Look, there's his like food. Ben is looking. Everyone's saying he looks like this king that they're surrounding, right?
He looks like a princess.
Which is exactly what he wants.
Right.
Exactly what he wants.
He's the princess of the house. Yeah.
And then at 3.
But it is all manipulation because they're all living in fear of having Ben lashed out. So that's how he managed to get his way. He's gonna go nuts if you don't do what I say.
Yes.
You know? Yep, he's gonna have a little meltdown.
So the Cog's point is that they're not doing it of their own volition and because they want to. It's because they have no choice.
It's like a crying baby. You just got to give him his pacifier and pay a little attention to it, you know, and then that baby may not ever stop crying.
Right. Let's watch this. Yeah, totally. It's a great.
Okay.
I want people to see how this.
Yeah.
The court of
this,
Ben.
Guys, hold on.
Show what Fido's produced for us.
Okay, we thought this was poop, but it's not, right?
Yeah, it's not.
We don't think it's poop because Courtney cleans it up with her hands.
So Ben, I like to call this a Ben dick stroking session, where I think now he's kind of being like a little bit nicer, a little more civil, whatever, and just kind of, you know, in Fight Club, they're like, oh, self-help is just masturbation or whatever, and I like to think of this is like a Ben masturbation session where he's just getting his ego fueled and going into teacher mode and just being like, he has these people that listen to him and are scared of him, so they're listening intently and quote unquote respect him and all this stuff, and just he's getting his ego fueled, so that's what this is gonna be.
I've literally seen him before, like have them sit and listen to him, you know, his like sermons or whatever you want to call it, you know, and him literally tell them that they're not interacting enough, and being like, you know, like prompting them as even an audience, even prompting them what kind of audience they should be. Like, oh, you're not interacting enough, you're not reacting enough, you're not. I've even literally heard him tell them before, been like, you're not laughing enough, and then they would both start this canned, fraudulent laughter for him.
Right.
It's so bad.
Yeah, let's watch it. No, totally.
Argus, look at what you did.
We gonna turn lights on, or is it fine?
The lighting looks,
Fine.
that looks better. Yeah.
Let's get the lighting good for my little brainwashing.
Yeah.
It wasn't really working that way.
Can we slow it down just a little bit whenever?
Well, I don't want it to just become conflict because I don't really think that's the genre any longer. But
Thank you.
I'm just saying, what
Let's
is?
see. I have a timestamp
You're
at.
like, I'm like, let's have some coffee and talk, and you're like, okay, I'll stream it. And I'm just saying, I'm not opposed to that, but you
But
feel
what?
more. I'm not saying it's a negative thing, but you're saying like, let's keep our YouTube friends with us.
Okay, so they're just
Okay. I think I
Prefacing
understand.
this.
So last night.
I think Courtney was
wiggling
kind
his
of
toes. Yeah.
I think Courtney was kind of implying in a comment. I think she commented saying she wanted to be able to stream constantly because I think for her it was like almost maybe it felt safer to stream constantly because at least everyone was watching her. So anyway, we can keep going.
Yes, and he wouldn't do as much when the cameras were rolling.
Right. Like she liked being able to stream all day.
Or like some kind of secret.
Okay.
I think the state we're in as a
As
family,
a family.
which we are, is that you're welcome to utilize the resources, whatever. There's no like rules here.
So this is important.
I mean,
You're
there's no
welcome to utilize the resources. And then in a following video that we watch, that's the argument he uses is like, oh, you're free. You're not a victim. You have access to the money. And then in a following stream a few days later, after Courtney leaves again, she took some money out to give to John so he could get a car, and they get pissed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. So
wanted
it's
to-
not even true. Right.
I wanted to say something. This absolutely is irrelevant to the seriousness of this whole conversation, but I just remember when I was watching this live, when it first aired, that how annoyed everybody was with his toe and foot twirling. I just wanted to
Yeah.
mention that. People were like so aggravated by that.
Okay. Makes sense.
Okay,
Wait.
continuing on.
It's not like that. Like you're on a short leash.
So let's see. 323. So
I trust
he's
you
just
in those areas. It was tested yesterday with the car thing.
and it's like, okay, he's like, oh, I don't have any control over you. He's gonna bring that up later. You can have the money. I just also wanted to say really quick on this that his control is with the kids and the threat of like
Her not being
having
parent.
Grace, one of his daughters.
Yeah.
Like that's
Well,
his control.
Well, and we already know that Grace has through Ben has basically said, don't tell Joey to go to bed, don't making fun, essentially disrespecting Courtney through the kids, etc. That she's not a real mother. I think they were setting up, which we see later happens, for the kids to be taken away from Courtney.
Okay, so
You did come around relatively quickly. And I think you
he's
understand
yapping.
the dynamic is like there's a kind of
Yap.
Is there a way to turn it up just a little bit? If not, it's
I guess it's like I'm the father and parent of
it's all good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Okay,
7 people.
such a victim.
She's not really in charge, nor does she want to be in charge. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't really have any power except
Right.
what's given to me, right?
Okay.
Like I don't have possession of anything or my own money or whatever.
I don't. You're saying like, well, my rank has been degraded. Your rank has been. I don't know. That's what you're seeing it as, right? I understand that.
He's talking to Courtney here, but he refuses to look at her.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But isn't it? Couldn't it just be like kind of like
So, see, he asks her a question. So you feel like your rank has been degraded as soon as she starts talking. Is cut her off.
a recognition of a different situation? Are you seeking to get back to a position where you have power? I don't know.
No, not really. I'm just no. I'm happy with like the way things are.
Just trying to avoid
Right.
conflict. I think.
Right. So
there.
she agrees with him. She says, "Fine. I don't want power. I don't want to be back to where I was in the house anymore." Because keep in mind, guys, Courtney did something really bad the day before. She tried to get a divorce from Ben. It all got
Yeah.
messed up because they didn't have a lawyer. But this is the reaction from that, in my opinion, at least.
Yes.
So this is her
all-
punishment.
Yes, this is her punishment. This is Ben and Grace's revenge.
This just really quick.
Mhm.
There's something that is interesting that's called a narcissistic bruise, where if somebody has narcissism and they've been publicly shamed or feel in a way that they've been publicly shamed, the requirement for like revenge gets so strong, and it becomes kind of like that person is no good. It's black or white thinking, and they have crossed the line. There is no good at this point. So I feel a big part of the whole triggering, I mean, he was manipulating her from the get-go, but when she asked for a divorce, it was like she defied the king, and that's it.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Great,
Yeah,
great
and
point.
this feels like, kiss my feet kind of thing. This moment, yeah.
Literally, not literally. But...
All
yeah. Keep
sorry,
going.
you
Sorry.
go.
No.
Also, what the fuck was I gonna say? Oh yeah. Yeah, because this is all in his revenge arc is going to be, as we'll see later in the video in the next fight here, is kicking her out again and making her like do this weird challenge of having to get John on stream, or else like she's not allowed to live there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's really like trying to re-exert his control.
I don't mind playing that role. I think it's relatively easy.
Seeing. Okay, so then let's go to 27 here.
Spontaneously whenever she wants to.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
would you call yourself a live-in servant? I mean, I would just say you're. I don't know. I wouldn't say you're that.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Oh wait,
No, it's okay.
Hire someone. We could have hired someone.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we still can.
Mhm.
But I don't think that's what's going on here.
So they're saying, oh, we can just hire a maid. We don't even need Courtney. We can just.
Well-
But he's saying, oh, you're more than just a servant.
Well, right, and also,
look how
right. Sorry.
look how measured Courtney's responses are. How she takes some time to think about what she's going to respond and then says it, because
Right.
the
Mhm.
repercussions of what she might say.
Right, and even the way I don't.
Absolutely. And she did that all the time.
Right, and I don't like to be a body analysis person, but the way that she's like moving her hand, I don't. All I can say is if it's like she gives these measured responses, but you can see kind of tension in how she's moving her hand. I don't know. That's just how I see it. But
Mhm.
that's
Mhm. Oh yeah, Coop pointed that out too.
yeah.
She
We're
goes
kind of
from
looking at
like.
streams.
What were you saying?
Sorry. I was just gonna say, like, she goes from like laughing even at like Grace's jokes, and then it'll just be like completely flat. Like her face will just change to like a very serious frown, and she composes herself again.
Right.
Sorry,
Totally.
I just want to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, you're good. You're good. So yeah.
Spontaneously whenever she wants to.
Yeah, no.
So she's not just a servant.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
would you call yourself a live-in servant? I mean, I would just say you're.
Oh my
Well,
god. Ben's
Why
talking his
why is it, I'm not saying this negatively, why is it that you want to have this streamed as opposed to non-streamed?
Well, I'm just kind of developing this idea of like, what is the YouTube thing I'm doing, and
Yeah.
So like basically as soon as like I took a shower, I was like, okay, I'm not really ready to stream, but like, because I was saying at the beginning of the stream, like I usually like to have an idea, and I was like, well, maybe I'll just start streaming, like American Dream, just start streaming, and I was just like, maybe that's like the direction I want to go in. So like,
Yeah, it seemed good.
yeah, so like this would be a part of it, but that would be, it
Well,
requires.
isn't that, without being conflictual, isn't that what I kind of was saying? The
Yes.
stream,
Yes.
don't get too.
Okay, it's not. Maybe I skipped past it,
Yeah.
but basically they're like, oh, you can stream whenever you want. Like you're more
Well, I
than a
think
living
also-
servant.
Right, and I think
Well,
again,
it was
going back
weird.
to what Courtney said was she's trying to, I think, sell to Ben, let me stream all the time, because to her it's like, if I'm gonna live in this house again and I don't want to get like abused, I just need to have the camera on all the time. And it seems like Ben's kind of trying to be like, okay, yeah, I guess so, but I already told you that. Anyway, she's trying to sell it to him, in my opinion, to protect
But
herself.
it's also like she's doing exactly what he's been telling her to do at the same
Well,
time.
Right. Well, he
Like
wants you
his,
to.
yeah, sorry. He like has been kind of like telling her like, you should just stream yourself and just not be pretentious about it. Like, you know, I don't know. I feel like she did exactly that, and then he's still being weird about it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. This next part I think is interesting. We should.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So here we go.
I was doubtful.
Grace was extremely agitated last night, and I was very relaxed. And I think that's because I think that this power shift, which in a certain sense is just you relinquishing something that you never, like, you're not this type of person, but you lean into it, I think.
Okay, pause it.
Like you
So Amelia and I were
Some
talking about this.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like crazy word salad that he's using, but we were like trying to figure out what he was saying. You go ahead, Rusty.
And yeah, and I feel like what he's really saying is this version of you that's the fighter from last night, Courtney, who kind of is trying to leave the house or trying to get Grace to stop fucking with you or trying to even argue with me. That's not the real you, Courtney. Like, he even says to her, like, you were really never even that kind of person. But it says it in this really confusing, strange way where it's almost like she's paralyzed into, how do I agree with him? You know,
it's like a tactic of like causing crazy confusion, and then he gives like this analysis like of like, oh, I understand you, like I understand exactly what type of person you are, and like I'll give it to you straight because you're so confused right now, even though I think he's caused the majority of the confusion for sure.
Right.
And then
the main point being like, Courtney, you should never fight. You should never fight back. And that's not who you are. You don't want to be that anyway.
Yeah. Be the submissive wife.
Right.
Okay. So this is all on Ben's terms here.
Be awful. And that's what God really cares about.
That's what God cares about.
Also, apology. You have made innumerable apologies to everyone in which you say, I'm really sorry. Yeah. But you give no explanation, nor do you give any sort of sense of how it's going to change in the future. So I think that can be a genre that's okay. Like, I mean, that's part of it. Just to say, like, I know that wrong has been done here, but without the understanding of what happened and therefore an understanding of how that could change, I'm not sure on the receiving end that that's all that helpful, right?
Yeah, what is he even saying here? I'm sorry.
Dude,
this is where it spins you around.
I think what he's trying to say is when he says not even an understanding of what happened, what he means by that is you're not adopting the understanding or the interpretation that I have of this. And if we can't be on the same page, and the only way that Ben doesn't know what compromise is, he doesn't know what, like, it all has to be on his terms. Yeah, I guess he's trying to say we can't move forward until you accept
this new state of things or something.
And that's all that they've been trying to do for, I mean, literally, like, now to this day, them fighting. And Grace says that she's done with it as of a couple of days ago, so we'll see. But literally, she's like, yep, there's no swaying Courtney. But yeah, then it says, Ben says he wants to address John too. Okay, so going to 349 here. 349.
Did you want to say something, RD? Oh, he just excused himself.
Oh, what the heck? Okay. Continuing on here.
I would like to maybe I don't know, cut it or something like this, but I would like to have a conversation with you towards John.
Yeah, he's still watching. He said, Ben, just marry your daughter. Come on, we know that's why you're getting a divorce.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. I understand that this is, I know he's joking, but I think there's a confusion that he has that comes from you, it is actually a natural confusion, right?
Yeah.
About, okay, well, so since you are now, in a sense, one of the children, is Grace now playing the role of your mother, and therefore is my quasi-wife? I understand how that would seem like that's what's going on. And that's how you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
Because I have, you could say, more emotional intimacy with Grace than I have with you, because I can't even look at you at this point.
Yes, that's true.
So Courtney,
Well, that's
sorry. So Courtney is essentially saying, like, yeah, that's true. Like, I don't have emotional intimacy with you. Yeah, Grace is the new person, right? Kind of.
In
Mhm.
general,
She's agreeing.
this is just psychological abuse. I mean, that's just what we're watching. He's trying to manipulate. He's not being very clear. People are having to listen to him intently to try to see what they're saying under the basis of fear on top of that. So he's demanding so much of everybody right now that it's just annoying to watch when, because I typically would just leave at this point if I was meeting with somebody and they wouldn't, and they demanded this. But the dynamic is so strange because you feel the underlying anger behind everything he's saying, and he's just able to control himself in a way where he doesn't present that way, but it's very clear that there's underlying anger in the way that he says certain words and everything. I just hate listening to him talk. It's just annoying.
Yeah.
Coop says, yeah, same. Those torture fucking funny timestamps, y'all. Like the video for us going through that. Coop says, I can't even look at you. It's intentional. He's aware that he's doing that. Strategic non-eye contact. I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah, kind of like the insignificant peasant in the king's presence. I can't even dignify you with an eye glance.
And then cutting off. So then I marked 3 positions here. Yeah, because this is the only time that he asks Court for her opinion again without just going on his rambling. He actually gives her a chance to speak and then watch what happens. And sorry, RD, did you want to say something?
Oh, I was just saying there was a comment from Court. I don't know if you guys saw it. I don't know if I missed it, but it was at 10:46. I think it might be. Yeah, here it is, where it says it is self-soothing, but Ben said I did that, talking about her hand movements, to be a victim, and I haven't put that one to bed yet. Maybe I did it to look like that. So I think we're seeing Courtney still say, like, I shouldn't have moved my. Courtney's still saying she did something wrong there.
Trying to act like, thinking it was something bad to do and that she was doing it intentionally, which is what what has all been has put in her head.
Right. So do you see that?
Well, if we're picking up on it, it must be intentional,
Right. And it's like Courtney was doing something because she felt anxious and was moving her hand that way. And Ben's saying essentially, I guess Ben used to say to her, God, why do you do that? You're such a victim. Maybe it made Ben notice he was doing something harmful and hurting her emotionally. But of course, it was because she was a victim. It was her fault, essentially. So, Courtney, it's okay to move your hands that way if someone's treating you bad,
Vandal. It's a lie.
Right.
Based on sexual manipulation at the beginning. How's that rad trad?
It's not. Really not. No, it's not. So yeah, like just kind of a switch to say like where.
Well, isn't that kind of the problem? Like, because you're no longer the rad trad mom and wife, it's kind of like, well, who's going to do the homeschooling and the baking in the kitchen, right? Isn't it going to be Grace who's the next?
Yeah, I mean, I
rad
think
trad
it is how it ends. I mean, I get how that's how it ends up. Grace for a few days was picking the kids up in the morning and getting them to school when she could, and like it looked like she was taking over your role,
which isn't her responsibility.
As poorly as you were doing at it. The only reason that is because you're sitting in your car, and it doesn't make any sense.
All right, pause it. So oh, sorry, I know Courtney was going to talk, but essentially he's saying, oh, you were sitting in your car, and there's a whole other complex thing about why maybe they pushed her out. Winter might know. But the point is she had run away for her own reasons, or their own weird manipulations, and they're saying to her, look, Grace has to be the mom. Grace has to do everything. Grace is going to be taking over. and you know, we'll see
And
how that turns out.
He brought up sexual manipulation out of nowhere in the midst of lifting up his beer and drinking it.
Yes,
And
which is very, for lack of a better term, like Freudian type stuff, you know, like a projection type
it's
stuff.
a simple behavior, like just any like a touch or a tell in general when somebody's uncomfortable with one thing. But that also came up with, no, that's not it at all. Somebody, I don't know if it was Courtney or Grace, who disagreed with, no, it's not a sexual manipulation. Somebody really disagreed with it right there, but it was totally glanced over because he's creating this narrative right now where he can continue with Grace. If that's what's going on, allegedly, I don't know. I'll pause.
Right. Oh, and we'll if we keep in another video, we might. There's an interesting video where Grace is essentially having to be the new mom figure or whatever, because Ben's making her do that, and she has a breakdown over it. But that's another video for a different time. But let's just say this: Ben is admitting that he will not take the kids to school. He will not cook food. That's not his job. He refuses. So even if Courtney was kicked out, he would not even take care of his own kids in that sense. Just as a heads up.
No. He really is a narcissist, and I also want people usually don't consider borderline personality disorder and various other ones that are similar as a male thing, but narcissism really kind of is a male borderline, that cluster. It's just projected on there, and it's not necessarily all of them at the same time where it would be where it fit a total borderline thing, but the offshoots of narcissism, especially in men, mirror that of exactly of borderline. And what he's doing, and what most borderline people do, is split. He's very good at splitting. So creating confusion so he can have more attention and more anger, and have people to listen to him, and have him delegate what goes on from here. And eventually they get so burnt out. Look at Courtney. She's burnt out. She is somebody who looks like she's been working a factory shift for like 18 days. Like she's just burnt, and listening to him is tiring. Imagine having to deal with his big ass goofy presence.
Non-stop.
Dude, it's so draining being around him.
Yeah.
But,
All right.
BPD can be common in men. I learned that years ago, that when I was actually in therapy myself, that it's, and for whatever reason it seems to be more prevalent. She told me, and through research I saw myself, in Hispanic males.
Okay, so now moving on.
Just to clarify real quick, and I'm out, or I'll mute. Yeah, like what I'm saying is the BPD in male often doesn't go diagnosed because it's molded under narcissism, and then these are considered parts of his narcissism, which mirror BPD. So it's
maybe like
it's a confusion.
Yeah, right. Only in that way, like.
Well, how does it make sense if all these married people that we know, their kids are, then maybe there's something traditional marriages in a real sense. They don't have the dimensions of authentic marriages. They're LARPs.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
There are people saying, you know what, my life's a mess and I'm a mess, but what I'm going to do is like LARP as someone who takes like some aspects of the church's teaching and goes crazy with them.
So I just found this to be like very blatant projection right there.
Because that's what Ben does.
Yeah.
Well, that Ben takes the church's teachings and does whatever he wants with them.
Right? Yeah. And then also, like, if you look at, like, there's Bible verses about none of you shall approach any blood relative of his to uncover nakedness. You shall not uncover the nakedness of your father, the nakedness of your mother, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And in part 2 of Shamu's video on them, you can see, I'm pretty sure that's the video that it's in, you can see them making Courtney like strip in that and like take her tits out, which is crazy. If you guys haven't seen that, you should watch Shamu part 2. Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, there's just so many weird things.
Well, yeah, it's abusive stuff. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, and
but it's
just
not
Very
like
abusive.
accuracy.
you're saying it's not Catholic behavior that you
No,
Yeah.
furthest thing from.
right to treat
And
somebody that
then
way.
No,
I just thought that end was funny here.
it's evil because what he's
Mhm.
doing is he's making people do whatever he wants out of their fear of what he might do,
Right.
because they don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
He's just,
Mm.
And I
Another
think
thing I wanted to
that's where
mention
he
is
gets
that
off.
along
Mhm.
with his malignant narcissism, he also is a religious narcissist because he
Mhm.
uses the faith to try to control them and abuse them with the faith, which falls under religious
Only when
narcissism.
it reinforces his aim, though.
Mhm.
and he talks about a lot. Yeah.
Anyway, so then at the end, this is just funny to me. After he literally gets on his high horse for like an hour and a half, right? And I also took this comment from the stream that we're reacting to. I just thought was so perfect. This guy Stephen David says, "I do find solace in the knowledge that as much as Ben tries to act like he's a moral pillar, his life is decaying in front of him, and all he can do is act as if it's not most delicious troll treats." But yeah, then this is the end of him acting like a moral pillar, doing his fucking
Because everyone
lecturing.
knows there's something going on under the surface.
Hey,
All
look,
of us.
hey, look, Dad, you got a little bit of a compliment here. Yesterday, Tripp says, yesterday someone asked Andrew if he'd rather hang out with Owen Benjamin or Ben Thorp, and he answered Ben. How sweet is that?
How sweet is that? So somebody in a would you rather said they don't.
I do suck it. Holy school. I mean, it would be fun to hang out with.
But we're still in the chat.
There's still a guy.
Sure, you can eat it. Just
Oh,
okay. So
Low key,
just give me a second.
I think hanging
Sure,
out with Courtney would be kind of cool.
but we're still in the chat.
You're
There's
positive.
still a guy with your name.
Yeah. Courtney's doing a lot better, and that's a whole other thing of people that
I think the healthiest thing that could come out of this is Courtney and Ben having some kind of shit together, and Grace going on her own, just totally separated from the situation.
Well, Courtney is. I don't know if you know this, but Courtney is completely separated and has a restraining order with the younger
good.
kids
All right,
against
good.
him.
All right,
so
never
the
mind.
younger kids cannot see him for a year, and Courtney is taking care of those children.
And isn't
So
that's odd? Is because the only thing he has to hold on to is Grace. So like he's doing all he has. The rest of his family left him. I mean, family from his side left him. Nobody wants anything to do with him. Once they got far away that they don't have to deal with him, they don't. I mean, who calls their son a faggot?
Right.
I mean, these things are just so messed up. Like he is the problem, and everybody needs to get away from him. You know, that's the bottom line.
Who tells their children that they can suck his dick if they don't like something he's saying or doing?
Or who calls their daughter a piece of ass? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh God, that's the worst right there.
I mean, just that ass slap. That the whore maxer thing for both women.
Yes.
The way that he got them to manipulate, to do whatever he wants under the fear of whatever might happen. It just shows what a piece of shit this man is.
Yes.
And he's driven the entire family apart, and they need, if I was in control of this case, if it got assigned, my main goal would be to get everybody away from Ben.
Yes. Yes.
And if Grace is not at the point where she understands it, or has not gone through the process of realizing and the therapy that she'll need to develop the insight of what she's been up to, which I think she kind of knows because she's smart. But
well, I think right now, and all I can say is though right now it seems Ben kind of feels that everyone is attacking him, and he's just a nice guy, and they're just trying to cut out people that they feel are evil, like us. You know,
Ben just thinks he's smarter than everyone else, but everybody sees right through the bullshit, and he thinks it's not happening.
Right.
Okay, so this is the next. Sorry to cut you guys off, but
No.
I just want to introduce. This is the next video in the saga. This is a few days later, and there's still now. This is kind of a real fight instead of just a weird brainwashing lecture session. Ben comes on just for about 30 minutes on Courtney's stream here. And Ben makes like bizarre, bordering comedic arguments, in my opinion.
Yeah. And at this time, she was fighting with John had left after all the court stuff, after he had been attacked by Ben, and I think Courtney was trying to like. Anyway, we'll see. They seem to be arguing too with John.
So here we go.
Yep.
I think it's just important. It's just funny because anyway, John was didn't want to be part of them talking about him, I think. So anyway, there you go.
Go ahead. Power. I'm into power. What were you doing last night? For 6 hours, all night long.
Okay.
What were you doing?
See how nervous she's acting already and like rubbing her hands?
What were you doing?
I was.
What were you literally doing? Can we even get there?
I was literally walking and sitting on.
Walking around, God knows where, right? Because you wouldn't tell us where. Right?
Yep. I did tell you where. I did tell you.
No, you didn't. Because they said we can come pick you up. And you're like hours away or some crap like that. But what were you doing? What were you doing? What were you acting like? Someone? Why would someone do this?
Because I at the time I said, I get it. I cannot.
Okay, what about now? What were you doing? What is this? What does this look like? Anybody in chat can tell me what a person who leaves for 6 hours, no explanation.
I gave you an explanation.
So I think any sane person, this is just crazy. Any sane person would be like, oh, okay, if someone leaves for 6 hours, probably under the context of them fighting, right? She needs some space.
Right. She wanted to have her space. She wanted to do her own thing. And look, he even said something like, we called you and asked where you were. Like they were trying to get her. They wanted to pick her up. They did not want her to be on her own.
Now, who can get this?
Look at how she's expecting to be slapped any moment in her body language.
Yeah, she seems. I was going to say that she seems nervous that he's close to her physically.
She's terrified, but I'm projecting that part. But she looks like somebody who's about to get smacked. Like the way
yes. Of course, he would never do that. I don't think live on air, but that might not even be true considering what happened with Grace. But in my opinion, she looks more nervous because he's so close to her physically.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
That is a perfect example. She's an abused dog by Matt Monday. What she's acting like.
Sorry to interrupt. It is her Courtney's glasses. One of the glasses is broken off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it was because it was in the ones that happened previous to this one, so I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay, cool. All right.
So let me unpause this here. Oh yeah, so he's about to say, what would that behavior be if somebody's leaving? He's about to say it's abusive.
No rational explanation. He's doing. What does that look a lot like?
I gave no rational explanation. I said
no rational explanation for why you spent. We were sort of all night long. What is?
But you agreed with me. Like my explanation was like. You said
your rational explanation is that you're afraid of being murdered, killed, and also what else? That you were afraid of the police being called.
Okay, so my real explanation was that you had said
was or is.
I don't know.
Okay, bye.
Yep, literally just cuts her off with like a stupid grammatical thing because he doesn't want to let her speak. He wants to control the narrative.
Right.
Yeah,
and who was even?
She did. Real quick,
keep going.
She mentioned that she was scared that the cops were going to call if she didn't leave or she was going to get killed. So,
right, from him. She's afraid of abuse.
And look at him now. He can barely contain his rage. Look at his face. It's there. It's just being masked. And that's what she feels because she knows and senses this rage because they've been together for so long.
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Okay, so you had said like, look, Courtney, you've been here. You need to make a shift. 180.
Okay, so by the way,
Okay.
Tenderman, who would know, says the context is the night before he told her to leave the house. So part of that is this back and forth thing. So maybe before he told her to leave, and you know, and now they're saying, why did you leave? So that seems like stuff Ben would do and does, where it's
Yeah, the
back and
push
forth.
pull is what I call it.
Right. And Tenderman, feel free to let us know
Yeah.
anytime we don't have the info,
And I said,
because you were there.
No
then-
win
Hey,
situation.
everybody.
and I said, yeah, like, okay, like I need to make that shift. I need to go from
So
here to
it
here.
gets
And
to
over the course of 3
1:15 is when it
What
gets
is
important.
it that someone is doing when they do that all night? If one of you who has actually a family, or anyone who cares about them, which is probably a minority, was to just have an argument and be watching a YouTube thing and then dart out the door and spend the entire night wandering the streets of their town, giving like every few hours some sort of bizarre communication.
That's not true.
Let's just say that was what was going on.
Why would
Notice how much she was shaking her head.
Why would
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
she's
that's not
trying
true,
to
that's
defend
not
herself.
true.
He's not letting her.
someone do that? I want to get to the point.
Oh, wait, this is what you do.
No, no,
you
no, no, no.
mischaracterize the situation by saying every few hours.
Let's just say, why would someone do that? How would
See, this is what happens if she tries to speak up too, is he just talks over her, and it's like, that's why I think sometimes she's just like, it's just not even worth trying.
Yeah,
So he's gonna
she
say
has
power.
totally given in at some points. You know, she's just like, I'm dumb. I'm just whatever. I'm not in the mood for this shit.
power,
No,
right?
but if
Wait
you-
a minute. If a child who's being bad or whatever leaves their house and is like AWOL, why do they do that to their parents? That's their power, right? They're exerting power.
And so, and I just wanted to go quickly to this video and show you what John says about.
And notice he was telling her, you're exerting power, which is exactly what he's doing, projection.
Exactly. And John, his own son, is about to point this out.
Myself food. I was feeding your children. You treat your daughter like your mommy. Is that nice? Baby
John,
boy.
You want to
like the way you're talking to me. Stop talking
John,
to me like that.
John, you would like.
I hate you.
Nobody likes your dynamic together. You suck. You're like just depressing to
Grace
watch.
is so happy.
Grace, John's sister, is 10 feet beneath him and can get him a sandwich.
No, you can't. You use that as a game. I'm not playing that game. Where else am I getting food? Nobody's getting fed up here. Like, why don't you just not come up here then? Like, I don't even know why you're coming up here. That's not the deal, that you get to come up here at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 3
I never
p.m.,
go up
and you
there,
don't give
John.
anybody food except yourself, and you're
John,
selfish. That's what's going on. You get to come up here and ruin everybody's time whenever you come up here.
Shut
You come
up.
up here 7 times
John.
a day, and then at midnight, and then at 3 a.m., and then at 6 a.m., and then at 8 a.m., and then at 12 p.m., and like every second of the day, you're going to eat. What is wrong with you and not offer anybody food? Ridiculous.
John, I never go up there. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
I know, because you're a weirdo. You don't
I'm a
even have
weirdo.
your children.
John, you told me that if I enter those premises, you have.
No, I never said that to you.
By
I said
calling
if
the
you're gonna threaten
police
to kick
on
me out,
me.
if you're going to threaten to kick me out unfairly just because you felt like it, because you think that you have this upper hand, you're getting a good deal up here, if anything. I'm paying half your rent, and you're not doing anything for it except having 2 of your children live up here, tormenting me. That's not a very good deal for me. And I don't know why I have to be so incredibly grateful for it. It's like a very, like, I have no, without the support of your, like, mother if you get injured. Correct? No, I'm a victim out of you.
Who aren't you a
You,
victim?
guy ever. You
Here,
suck.
pause
I
it.
give you respectability.
Yeah, there's somewhere where he says like,
I would
"Oh, it's
slow it
all
down a
power
little bit,
game
by the
with
way.
you guys."
Yeah. Oh, I'd slow it down just a little bit, because
Yeah, I'm just trying to get to
I'm
that
sitting here thinking,
part.
I know you
Oh, yeah,
hate
totally.
that, but I respect that you did that. I respect a lot of things.
Yeah, I am a
Yes,
great dad.
everybody should be grateful to
No,
your roles.
this guy's
Like the
never
ortho, who think everybody owes you something.
Dion says you should take a
Done. I
Not
got
everybody
you.
owes you something,
You
Betty
even-
boy. Maybe you owe some people something.
Respect. You're an
You don't
insolent
have to respect
fucking
me. Obviously, you don't
asshole.
respect me at all. I don't have to give you that
What
much
is it that is worthy of respect?
That's why.
Okay, I'm not gonna.
Well,
I
I mean,
thought I
the-
had the timestamp,
I
but I
mean,
don't.
it's all good, but I mean that video's there's a part in the video where basically John and Shamu like echoes it, that everything is a game to Ben, and that John. I mean, one thing I think is interesting is John's talking about how Ben is going up into his apartment and eating and not offering it to them, and I think that's interesting. Like, we don't know the exact information of this, but I mean, were kids not getting that much food, and like Ben was getting to eat all the food or something? Or anyway, that. But also, not to jump around, but I don't know if you guys saw. Courtney made a comment earlier saying the night before, Ben had said, "You need to leave, Courtney, or I will call the cops." So that's why Courtney said, or Ben said, like, "I'm afraid of the cops were coming."
Okay.
So she was told to leave. She was told
Yeah,
to
she's
leave.
told to leave, but Ben puts everybody in lose situations no matter what, just
Right.
so he can have this time to lash out and kind of demand the center of attention and make everybody feel bad and be the sadist that he is.
Right. And we didn't watch the full stuff. We should watch that later, like obviously in Seamus' documentary, but that clip is, John is going against Ben. If we were to keep watching it, like John refuses to be quiet,
Mhm.
Yeah, the time John
everything
Sorry.
John has ever said to me rings true.
Yeah. And John
I mean,
got
not
away
to me, but that I've
in general.
watched by
Right.
just watching in general.
So now
Yeah.
I'm here at 117, and this is just crazy. More projection from Ben. He says, "You've been abusing us nonstop." And it's funny because then he gets mad when she leaves. But
Why?
so it's just like obviously
Because I was
bullshit.
outside wandering around.
Yeah. And why did you do that?
I did it because I was confused.
Okay,
and
well, why does a
angry.
confused person have? Okay, so you're angry.
Confused
So
and
what does an angry person do? Tries to hurt someone, right? And you did try to hurt me and Grace, to a lesser extent the other kids, and to not an extent the other kids who are out of this stuff because they can't take it anymore, this abuse. You've been abusing us nonstop. Since I said to you and you agreed that this situation I had here was no good for anybody. Now, in what sense am I power hungry? What power do I want to have over people?
Well, you said like, I can't have the car, right?
No, not you. Let's stop with you, okay? Because I think that's where am I a power hungry person in life?
Oh my god.
Now he wants to pivot it and be like, "Oh, not with you, in other parts of life." Because
Right, and
she's gonna have
also
stuff on
that she's the abuser, and so Courtney is an abuser because she left the house when Ben told her to leave the house because the cops would be called. That's how she abused people.
Why does she come back is the main question here.
Right. I mean,
her family, because
Right.
he's holding them. And the only one who hasn't gotten away yet is Grace.
Right. I think of course she wants to be back with her family, and or she's also probably been told to come back too. So it's just nonstop confusion, it seems like, and abuse.
What jobs have I had where I've just I certainly am capable of being, would you say that I'm intellectually capable of being a person who would be put in positions of authority? I'm not really into that. I'm happy to be a worker. I don't seek power. I don't make power moves. I don't attempt to become right. I always say, when people say like, oh, you would you be interested in being in power? I'm like, oh no, I'm not that type of guy. I'm an intellectual. I don't seek
straight into denial.
I don't seek power. What are you talking about?
I'm intellectual.
What power do I have over anyone in my life?
You have power
psychological power.
right?
No, I don't have any power over you. You disobey me all the time for 21 years.
But I disobey you, but we were never married, right? And even now, like, how do I disobey somebody I was never married to? How do I
So it's interesting. He's like, "Oh, how do I have any power over you?" He claims he has no power after we just watched him making her sit through his boring self-masturbation session the other day. He tells her that she's free to leave. He doesn't have power, but then if she does, they'll use that as her abandoning, as an argument of, "Oh, Courtney abandoned the family." And then it says, and then Grace says, in one of Ben's streams that we're about to watch, she says, "If my mother wishes to psychologically terrorize my underage siblings by messing with finances or with their housing situation or mental stability, I will take action against her. They always say you have money, etc., etc. We have no power over you," but then they exercise that power of being like, "We're going to take action against you if
For
you try to
using
stand
the
up for
money.
yourself."
Right,
yeah,
right.
for using money, etc., etc. And they paint themselves as like them and their siblings, like I
Are
said
being
earlier,
destroyed
against
by the
court.
or being like
Yeah.
made poor by the mother. I mean, that's how we also know that when Grace says, "I have all the money, my dad gave it to me because I earned it." Like, if she were actually use it on herself, look what she would get back. Like, oh wow, you're wasting this money and using anyway. It's so complicated.
Okay. I'm putting Ride in timeout. He's being way too annoying right now.
Not telling anyone where I was, acting mysterious. I would never do that. I don't
have anything if I don't come up against. You said
you have as much power, right? I didn't take any power away from you.
See, and then he cuts her off right away again.
Or you can access accounts. If you wanted to make a war against me, I'm totally susceptible to it.
No.
Can you pause this for a second? One thing I noticed with Ben is that he constantly catastrophizes or, uses specific add-ons to words that minimize something, or it kind of distorts it in some sort of way, where it could be like she went out for 6 hours. She put her entire family, her younger kids, at risk. No, she didn't. She went out for 6 hours because you told her to, because you were angry at her and you couldn't control your emotions, I'm assuming. So it's like, and then she has to come home and then deal with the same cycle of being gaslit. And that is what he's doing. He's pretty much telling her what you believe is false, even though that is exactly what happened.
Right. And if I don't know if Ben was here, I just want to say this, like, and I don't know what he would say, but let's say he even admit, yeah, I told Courtney to leave. So how would it be abusive for Courtney? I don't know if these people are in the comments, to leave when she was told to leave. How is that abusing her kids or abusing the family? And then she eventually comes back.
It's not. He's catastrophizing the situation to make it seem like that she made a bigger error than she actually did. Because in reality, he did what he told her to do. I don't know what happened before in the context of the fight, but I'm assuming it's Ben's fault.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Okay, so you fast forward through it. Then the topic of Ben being a narcissist comes up. This is where it gets interesting. And I also find it interesting that he immediately gets defensive instead of because I don't know about you guys, but if I was accused of being a narcissist by somebody, I would be like seriously accused of it and be like, why? Why do you think that? I would be curious. I wouldn't just immediately go into denial.
Well, that's the thing. I just wanted to say that the people who are looking up if they're narcissists are they're not actually narcissists, because that person does not care. He's not interested in self-reflection at all. Narcissists never seek help for that reason.
Right.
Well, here we go.
Your car's right out there. The starter's not working.
You said a couple minutes
It made
ago,
more sense for me to have a big car if I was here by myself, obviously.
Interrupting.
Oh, now you're the victim of superior logic, and that's also my power. That's not what we're talking about in terms of power.
The ego, bro.
Yeah.
You always say I have power. So then you say there's a deadline.
I don't think you have a lot of power, and I thank God for it. And I don't think you're good at wielding power. But you try to wield psychological power through guilt just towards you.
Well,
doesn't
it's
seem odd?
possible that I'm the scapegoat, right?
The
So
projection.
Oh, wait, listen to that. She said it's possible I'm a scapegoat.
Because she holds back. She knows what he's doing. She's just holding back because she's scared of him. Like Grace.
Right. I'm curious to see what he says when she says that.
Yeah, so we do. Narcissist is not absolutely opposite of narcissist to everyone else except one person. Don't you think it's a sign that you're wrong?
Wait, let me slow this down. Actually, this is really interesting.
You've seen me. Wait a minute. You've seen me as a teacher, as a boss in a restaurant. Am I controlling? Where would I be on the spectrum between laid back and control?
Laid back.
Far on the side of laid back.
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Towards me.
Okay, but then I'm not a narcissist.
She's saying towards me.
Just towards you.
Well,
does that seem odd?
Which is pretty typical of a lot of narcissists. I was doing research today, and a lot of times they'll just target one person.
Possible that I'm the scapegoat, right? So
well, now we have a whole.
That's not the truth with him, though.
Right? Yeah, he targets everyone.
Yeah. People. Yeah.
Yeah, he targets
but
everyone.
Even under his reasoning.
Right. But Courtney's just saying that for him. Yeah.
Yeah, so we do. Narcissist is not absolutely opposite of a narcissist to everyone else except one person. Don't you think it's a sign that you're wrong? It's a pattern of behavior.
No. Okay, but a narcissist will choose a scapegoat, right, to kind of focus their narcissistic kind of energies on their source, right? That's their supply.
I don't know how it works. The theory works.
She's
right. Because
she's
you
right.
I don't know how scapegoat.
You want to watch it? You want to look up scapegoats and watch it?
Well, I don't know. I don't watch the rest of my life. Well, you watch this one, but whatever. I believe you that there's something called scapegoat. Okay.
Yes. So,
are you telling me that I made you walk around all night long? You're a person who acts irrational. As is your son John. Is he a scapegoat too? He thinks he is.
Yeah.
But you
Wait.
used that language towards me. You said.
Wait. So he said that. Are you a person that acts at direction? Did he? is that what he said to her? Like he admitted that she left because of his direction? I'm sorry, I don't know if that's just interesting. If that's what he said.
To me, it's all
That's
just
true.
symptoms. I just keep
There's
seeing
supply,
the
and you've often said
symptoms.
that.
Are you telling me that I made you walk around all night long? You're a person who acts irrationally, as is your son John. Is he a
Irrationally.
scapegoat too? He thinks he is.
Like abuse, right?
Maggie, their daughter's in the chat. She says, "OMG, Dad is so nice and patient with you, Mom. What the hell are you talking about?"
That is complete delusion.
I mean, she's
Mhm.
an underage kid. It just shows he's pushing the underage kids against their mom. So
Yes,
he
totally.
grooms the entire family into a norm. And if he doesn't get the norm that he likes, then that's the family norm. There is no other option.
Right.
Otherwise, it's angry him, which is horrible to live with. So you have to deal with it. Otherwise, it's like a dog constantly barking.
Yes. I don't know if we could put up Courtney's comment. It says he would say something like, "It's abusive that you left because you put me in the position that I had to say that to you." So
yes, see, that's catastrophizing, like 100%.
It's abusive that you left because you knew. Okay. Wow. Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
so you get
Sorry.
the idea, like,
Thanks, Maggie. You've been manipulated by a narcissist.
Whoa! He even admitted it. Look at that.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
the point of the stream, like, is for me to say, like, okay, so these are my questions, right?
What about that? Does that not count?
I'm not saying you're not nice to the kids. You are.
No, that's not what Maggie said.
Okay, so she says, "Oh my God, Dad is so nice and patient with you, Mom." What the hell are you talking about?
You guys would not believe how nice he is to her.
Okay, so then
Totally nice.
Okay, so this
not
is
controlling. Unbelievably patient. I'm a sweetheart.
You see, he's
Okay.
literally smiling.
He
Like,
knows it's a
he's
joke.
laughing.
Look, he knows
Yeah.
it's not real. I'm a sweetheart. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and see, that's something I wanted to say, and we touched on it earlier, speaking to her in a VC, is Courtney is always like wrestling with herself of how aware of he is of what he's actually doing or not. Again, as another example of that he knows exactly what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a
He
sweetheart.
has common themes that
I'm
just
like
kind
the
of
nicest guy
recycle.
the reason why
I've ever met.
the reason why I left last night was because I said
He's not only a good guy, he says he's the nicest guy you've ever met.
Right. What did she? Well,
I'm like the nicest guy.
the reason why
I've ever met.
the reason why I left last night was because I said, like, you know what?
Wait, what?
It doesn't even matter anymore. Like, whatever it is, I
Couldn't
can't.
you be wrong? Could
Yes.
Maggie be right that I'm a really nice guy
Yeah, she could.
towards you?
Yes, and that was my point.
The 14-year-old, maybe 13-year-old.
also, he's not letting her finish, obviously, either.
And
Yeah.
and he's not actually saying anything that's true. Because if you take away his framing of the situation, everybody in his life has left him because of issues that they've had with him. So it's not even true. The whole facade, the whole argument is made up of a baseless lie just to argue.
Sorry. Wait. Can you guys hear it when I go like this?
Yeah. Your mic is so good. I guess you should probably mute when you chew. Just if there's some people that are like afraid of it.
Wait, can you hear me right now?
Now I can't. But you could kind of hear the cup of the Cheez-Its. I don't care, but I know certain people in the chat might have a
sorry guys.
Yeah,
issue.
it doesn't bother me
I
either.
thought I was muted.
People in the chat were like, "Damn."
Courtney says, "Winter, there's no way he's laughing because he knows he's lying about that." Says there's no way.
So what?
Why do you
What do you
think he's
mean,
laughing
Courtney?
then?
Yo, why do you think he's laughing?
No, Courtney, no. I don't think what you just said. No, not at all. He knows what he's doing. Like we just pointed out earlier this evening, Courtney, on Lalo's stream, he blatantly says what he's doing. And he knows, Courtney, that's one of the biggest things you've got to realize. He understands what he's doing. He knows it. It couldn't have been more clear than in that Lalo stream that he knows exactly what he's doing.
Right. All right. Well, we'll see if Courtney responds, but we can keep going.
Okay.
Last night, If I could just say
Oh,
it. My point last night was,
is she being sarcastic? She says, I think because he's tickled how lovely he is. Courtney, are you being sarcastic? Are you
No,
joking with
she's
it?
on point because he's an actual narcissist,
Right.
not
Yeah,
the type
yeah,
of
that'd be true.
narcissist that would reflect on themselves.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Thank you. Can it be both? Interesting. Okay.
you know what? Maybe I'm completely wrong.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm seeing everything wrong, but I cannot
Wits.
I
You were
cannot,
manipulated by a narcissist.
I cannot
Baby
get there.
Or I will control your life.
I can't get there. That was my point.
Well, then you
That's
have a
why I
psychological
left.
problem.
And then look, he's not even listening when he actually gives her a chance to talk. Then he's just talking to the chat.
If all of the evidence points to you being wrong,
Yes.
then and people you trust more than you trust yourself are saying you're wrong, then wouldn't you say you should concede that you're wrong?
Okay, but like,
Who is saying that she's wrong? Maggie?
Nobody even, she doesn't know
Yeah,
Okay, you're not
what
being
has happened to this conversation because it's tangential and it's stopped. So there's now a conversation that's not related to anything previously discussed.
Courtney says,
I'm not being
being
sarcastic.
sarcastic. Coop says maybe he's laughing because of how lovely he is and how brilliant of a manipulator he is.
Interesting. Or just he believes he's lovely, and I get what. Yeah, I can see that. So what Courtney's saying, she's not being sarcastic.
No, I think he thinks he's funny. That's the bottom line. You
Okay,
know, he thinks he's being clever and shit.
What do you think, Amelia? Do you think he's laughing because he knows he's manipulating the situation, or just because he thinks he's so lovely and nice?
I think he knows how much he's getting away with always, you know. So I think he's always laughing at that.
Okay, cool.
But the point was that I tried to concede that I was wrong, and yet these thoughts and these things that I saw. Like,
yeah, right. So a lot of people who do wrong things, they have trouble conceding that they're wrong because they have patterns that help them defend themselves in doing wrong. I mean, come on.
Right.
You don't go up to you don't go to court and go, well, I have trouble seeing it. Nobody cares. The evidence. The evidence is overwhelming that you're wrong. Because this whole thing is about a pattern of behavior.
There's some projection.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. He doesn't actually care about anything but fighting and just being a sadist.
Behavior towards the world. It's not a personal theory about just you that doesn't match up in any way to anything else. Where is the pattern?
But my point last night was like, and I understand what you're saying. My point last night was like, it's been 5 years, which is also your point. And I've been trying to.
Yes, my point is I cannot subject my other kids do this any longer. And you agree.
Right. So then my point was that like I've been trying to get rid of these patterns,
Shamu
see through these patterns for 5 years and say like these thoughts and these things that I see are just filtered through these patterns.
But again, this is like something nobody cares what you've been doing. You tell the audience what you do every morning.
Every morning I wake up and I say, basically, holy fuck. How the fuck am I gonna
keep going?
Very typical.
Yeah.
Like abuse victims or people that have like been in a circular conversation.
Right. Sometimes when I'm in the chat and they're live and whatever, I'll write a story where it's like Grace is enjoying like tea with her friends at college. They're joking over boys, and then she wakes up and it's fucking Ben, and she has not escaped this.
Right, and that's like what Courtney's saying. Like, well, if I'd be interested to see what she keeps saying, but like she realizes this is the reality and this is where she's at. And it's just
what
overwhelming.
was just said was actually really interesting. Can you run it back like 1 second or so, or a couple of seconds?
Yeah.
And these things that I see are just filtered through these patterns.
But again, this is like something nobody cares what you've been doing. You tell the audience what you do every morning.
Every morning I wake up and I say, basically, holy fuck. How the fuck am I going to get through this day? I got to behave.
Okay. Who are you talking to at this point?
I'm talking to myself. I've got to behave. I've got to take these thoughts. Like this
I have to behave.
Holy fuck. I have to take that thought and say, like, you're wrong for thinking that.
Okay, there you go. So she has to say to herself, you're wrong for thinking that.
Well, again, how is she going to get through this day is the first thing that she's thinking about. So she's waking up, she's in fear already because she knows she has to deal with this motherfucker. and so she's freaking out. You know, her baseline anxiety starts up. So she's at a point, I think, and I don't know if I'm right, Courtney. You can clarify since you're in the chat, but it's like you know when to just give in and say what you know he wants you to say, because it seems like you've done that. Like when you get to a point where you're just like, all right, I'm exhausted. I'm just going to say what you want to say so I can escape the situation.
I gotta say that Cog just made me quite tickled with how he's supposed to be the contained professional here, but yet he just totally threw this motherfucker. I like that way too much.
I am retired, which means
I know, but I like that you did that. I thought it was quite funny. I found it quite amusing.
Yeah, I that's how I would normally talk, but you know,
This
now that I'm
motherfucker.
not actually bound to many ethics, and I'm just kind of doing this for entertainment, I can say whatever I want. It's nice.
I know, I understand. Like I said, I found it quite amusing and interesting, and found it funny.
Yep, me too.
Just telling the other one that like it's like this other one's going, oh, this like the day is horrendous, it's unbelievable, and the real you or the unreal you is going to have a conversation with that you, in which this you goes, I have to not allow you to come out today.
Right.
Okay, and my point is that is the same mentality of a serial killer.
Yep.
Because you've externalized yourself.
Oh my god.
There you go.
Wow.
So psycho.
That's catastrophizing again.
So then I
projection.
The definition.
Courtney's is Thorp. That's the channel that we're watching this from right now. Is Courtney's channel? It is
Thorp
Thorpotokos.
Yeah, so he's saying, because apparently that was something that Ben would do. He would call Courtney like Jeffrey Dahmer, apparently.
Yeah.
And he would essentially say, you're like a serial killer. Yeah, she said, what? I did that a lot, Cog. Tried to get out of it by agreeing about things I didn't agree with and admitting to things I didn't do.
Right. And then at some point, it even becomes confusing what you actually believe, because you've been with him for so long and this is so endless.
Right. Well, that makes.
Also, yeah, I want to add in, when I was in Rhode Island with them, like, I was doing the same shit too, of like, oh my god, like, fine, I'll just agree with what Ben is saying, that my family's abusive or whatever, just so that, like,
yeah, and you had an hour, maybe? You had an hour?
I was with them for half a day.
You got physically abused upon, like, that literal hair pull. He has so lack of insight into social norms. It's amazing.
Yes.
They're very
yes.
Okay, so I'm pausing this.
Health or what?
Not health.
Schizophrenia.
Okay.
Right?
So
no. Okay.
It's not health.
He calling her schizophrenia?
Well, multiple personality disorder. Probably.
Well, that is schizophrenia. It's
no.
a form of schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia, I don't think is a.
So is this gaslighting? I mean, or I don't know.
Ben's making shit up here.
Right,
there
like
is
you're
no
crazy.
split. Even though the prefix schizo means split, schizophrenia is not multiple personalities. It's just disorganized thoughts, delusions, paranoia, maybe hallucinations, and
but
just
so he's
overall
saying
disorganization.
Right. So he's saying for Courtney to have a thought about how fucked up her life is and be anxious about it is schizophrenic and insane.
Well, like he's catastrophizing. Like
Right.
that's his way of getting people angry, is he overstates what they did wrong, so they have to defend, and then he attacks again, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on until they're worn out. It's like the rope-a-dope type of thing.
Right. And I just the idea that, I don't know, he doesn't want her, in my opinion, he doesn't want her to really think about these thoughts about how bad things are. Like, just stop it. You're crazy. Just stop thinking about this stuff. Anyway.
Which is very typical of malignants, to always tell you you're crazy. They always do that. They always want to try to convince you that you're the one that's insane.
Courtney, if you're watching too and you want to come on, I guess people in the chat want you, but if you don't want to, no pressure.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, it probably doesn't. Courtney had to be able to put up with this crap for as long as she did. Ava came in fresh and only made it in less than an hour. Okay. Moving on.
Oh, we got John here. Great.
Well, yeah, I'll just say usually people that end up in these types of relationships have had bad experiences in childhood that normalize it to them.
It is a narcissist. Jerome, if you want to come on, you can talk to your mother, and I won't be here. You guys can go into it. I would invite him to go through it with you.
I did invite him, but I'll invite him.
Okay,
again.
well, you invited him in a way that was kind of hostile, but maybe that's how you guys roll.
Yeah, that's how I roll.
I don't
Like,
have any
I was trying to
Eastern
call him out.
European heritage.
I was, like I said, like, okay, I was hostile because I was saying, like, I'm mad at myself ultimately.
Look at Shamu. What a crybaby. Hey, Shamu, I am not your dad.
Oh, right. Look,
I'm a
look.
nice
Just
guy. I don't know.
so Shamu makes a point that like if you look like Ben, you're always right, but we're the ones that disagree, right? And then of course what Ben does is some goofy Freudian thing like I'm your father, Shamu. That's why you disagree with me or whatever bullshit. Just fun.
This is
Everything's
such
like
a good point too.
it's weird.
Yeah,
that
he loves to tell everybody how they have daddy issues. To him, everybody that doesn't agree with him has daddy issues, which in my opinion is again projection, because in my opinion, he's the one that has daddy issues.
You know what? I actually
Oh,
have
yeah.
thought the same. Like, I thought that he was abused as a child, maybe, but again, like this
He
is
was.
just assumptions I'm having because he was in that whole Catholic thing, and that was common. And when I brought that up, he got really angry.
Yeah,
Well,
who
he
knows?
wasn't, from my
Converted.
understanding, he was not raised Catholic. He chose Catholicism.
But
Okay, now something has to happen in order for you to change religions that's significant. There's always
Well, my
some kind of
understanding is his father is Christian, and Ben is the one that chose the Catholicism.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Okay,
Sus.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm accurate. Courtney's in the chat, so she could, clarify.
Yeah, no, I'm
Okay.
not sure. I thought like he did a complete change, but same offshoot.
All right,
Okay.
so I have one final video. So this is where Ben walks off, and then they just have Courtney trying to convince John to go on to appease Ben. But
In the middle of the night,
this video
from people that you're not
Oh my God.
stopping is.
I only watched a little bit of it, but I have a few timestamps.
Cool.
1820. So this is a few days after the video that we just watched. It's in the same saga though. And then I wrote abusive triangulation, bringing grace into it. Oh yeah, so this is where he's like really trying to bring grace into the divorce.
This is splitting. This is that borderline splitting stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with that or you've heard of it before. But
yeah,
you're with
vaguely,
one person, you get them mad at the other person. Somebody like Tony Soprano's mother was somebody who was a splitter, a borderline splitter. So she would get each family member kind of torn against each other in ways. But yeah, that's what I assume is going to happen here.
Grace is going to be in charge of our divorce and annulment. Or in charge of
Not in charge of it, but just sort of
I don't
like.
really understand it, but okay.
Well, in other words, she's going to represent the sort of the needs of the kids, and that trumps our needs. I think that's correct.
Okay.
So he's the one. So it's funny because I always accuse Courtney of being like, Courtney, you parentified me, you abused me because you made me take care of the kids and whatever. And now Ben is doing the exact same shit.
Right.
Well, it's always been Ben. It's I don't.
Oh yeah.
When she said scapegoat and he pretended not to know what that word meant, I mean that's exactly what they're doing. Is they're blaming her. Even when Grace tries to explain the connection, you'll know that it doesn't make sense unless she's like over exaggerating something or just making shit up. Like she really struggles to be able to explain why. And at the same time, totally overlooks everything that's going on the father's side. I'll mute.
I mean,
no worries.
I'm not really sure how she's going to do that. Like, is she going to take legal action against both of us, or just me? Or
Well, I mean, I would say like you said, like whatever she sees fit. I don't, but you can talk with me and I can talk with her. But I mean, I think
putting all the kids under the control of a 19 or 20-year-old girl.
I don't see how she isn't the most fit to kind of be the decision maker here. Not in an ultimate sense, but like,
I don't see it that way at all. I see it as between you and I.
Yeah, but you don't think I'm fit, right? So
I don't see it.
Neither of us have a problem with her, so why can't we just say, okay, Grace will weigh it, and sort of obviously
Grace will weigh it.
Immoral, but I believe that the truth is there has been a lot of abuse. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, by
or neglect or something like that.
I don't really want to speak to that right now. If she feels like there has been, and if you feel like she should be in charge of whatever it is that you feel like, I don't even really understand what you feel like she should be in charge of, but like, okay, like it just seems to me like it's between you and I, and that she shouldn't really have anything to do with it.
The kids have nothing to do with like whether or not we get a quick divorce. They have no rights here.
I think that
they have no. Okay, but we're not able to even talk.
It's like, it's just bizarre that like.
And it seems like.
Grayson.
Well, it seems like number one, Courtney seems to really be fighting back finally, and I don't know all the context of this video, but like him saying like, look, it's only fair that Grace represents the kids. It's like, well, we know who Grace is going to be, loyal to, by the way, obviously, but this whole thing, I've never watched this video, makes no sense. It's like Courtney says, this is between us. Why would Grace and the kids have a say?
How do you think he got Grace to be so loyal?
That's a whole nother deep dive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, he grooms her when she's 15, 16.
Yeah, the grooming he's doing to the entire family. He obviously. Go ahead.
Well, based on what I could understand is like, he didn't give Grace a ton of attention, and then all of a sudden he's giving her more attention than anybody. He moves like a couch into her room and starts talking. Like he used to be giving Courtney.
I have a professional article on this that I have in our document if you want me to read that. So even the victim, or sorry, actually you finish it. Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like he goes from giving Courtney this, like he would talk to her for hours and hours every day, and then all of a sudden he's moving to Grace, giving her all this attention. But I think something interesting happened. I could be wrong, but I think we know the grooming and maybe sexual stuff happened. But I think once there was like a split where like people in the family like John knew these things were happening, then Grace and Ben kind of became like runaways together, like everyone's against us, so it's us against the world, right? Yeah. Like it's us against the world, and everyone is attacking us and calling us names, and I think they created this bond,
meaning,
like the trauma. I don't know if you call it the trauma bond.
Trauma bond, yeah, it is
right.
Exactly the trauma bond, and when somebody has that trauma bond, they kind of take even like any kind of negative attention and assume it's still kind of positive in a way,
right? And I think to Grace, I think even to Grace now, and if we looked at the last video where she got on, to her, we're attacking her and we're being mean and cruel. And to her, I think maybe this could all just be a guess. It's like it pushes her, I think, maybe further to her dad. I don't know, but like that, they're all they have. Everyone's against us. Of course, we're saying to Grace, it's not your fault. Like you shouldn't have been abused by your, it's not your fault this happened to you.
Yeah.
But she seems to not.
I don't think she's not at that point yet. Like I said, she still would be in what would be considered pre-contemplation before she's even considering the fact that she needs to make a change. So, right. I mean, just the fact that you're having these conversations where she's kind of going to listen to it and have to think about the possibility that we all might be right, is just a small step where she might consider it a little bit. And you just kind of want to gradually get her around to the point where she's contemplating the fact that she needs to do something about it. Started out, and she goes to that stages. She wavers, but she talks about leaving.
Let me read this about Grace, because this was crazy when I read this. I'm like, this just describes their dynamic to a T. It says,
okay, hold on just a second. After you read that, Ava, if you would, I wanted to say something, because Courtney actually texted me and wanted me to say something that was very important to her that I say.
Oh, say it.
Okay.
Say it before
You want to say
anything.
that first? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, she texted me and she wanted everybody to know that, and she's just this is not her coming from her just being brainwashed by Ben. This is actually a real thing that she wants everybody to know, that she is not completely blameless in things that happened, like with the children, and like that she did fail in ways as a mother that she takes full responsibility for, and that she knows that was really bad, and that she didn't properly protect them in certain ways. And she just really she sent me a message and really wanted me to say that, because she felt that it was important that everybody know that that even though Ben's the way worst one by far, that she made her own mistakes, and that she's willing to own what the things that she failed at as well, that we're not in direct connection to him, that were her own faults, that she that she's got, that she had her own things that she should be accountable for as well, that were not just him and under his direction, that she failed at. She wanted she texted me and wanted me to make sure I said that.
Okay.
I understand. I wonder what it is that you think you did wrong. I mean, but that could be a whole nother thing. We don't have to get into that.
Well, I'm not going to go into it too deep, but there were things, and maybe she would have a conversation with you about it at some time. But and that, what she's saying, I can attest to that myself, that it's not just her brain being brainwashed, that there are things that she should be held accountable for, that she knows that as well, and actually, I think that's really good and great. And I'm very actually proud of you for wanting me to say that, Courtney, because I agree that it's that
she clearly has self-awareness and wants to take responsibility, and I think that's a step to healing. So
yeah, I mean, if you've been married, everybody's been wrong. That's part of it.
I know you wanted to read something, Ava, but just later, if we have time, it might be interesting to we could watch it for a different video. But the Grace video, I didn't sign up for this job, I think is interesting, but maybe that's one for a different one. But anyway, you read your thing. Sorry.
Okay, I just wanted to say this kind of explains the question earlier, of like, why do you think like this happened to Grace? Even if the victim's children are amenable to the considerable charm, persuasiveness, and manipulativeness of the abuser, and to his impressive thespian skills, the abuser offers a plausible rendition of the events and interprets them to his favor. The victims are often on the verge of a nervous breakdown, harassed, unkempt, irritable, impatient, abrasive, and hysterical. Confronted with this contrast between a polished, self-controlled, and suave abuser and his harried casualties, it is easy to reach the conclusion that the real victim is the abuser, or that both parties abuse each other equally. The prey's acts of self-defense, assertiveness, or insistence on her rights are interpreted as aggression, lability, or a mental health problem. This is especially true with young and therefore vulnerable offspring, particularly if they live with the abuser. They're frequently emotionally blackmailed by him. For example, if you want daddy to love you, do this or refrain from doing that. They lack life experience and adult defenses against manipulation. They may be dependent on the abuser economically, and they always resent the abused for breaking up the family, for being unable to fully cater to their needs. EX, she has to work for a living, and for quote unquote cheating on her ex with a new boyfriend or husband. That's not really relevant, but yeah, I think that's just like spot on.
That nails it, really. I mean, it really kind of explains. It covers the dynamic very well, even if that's like, because there's a slight difference from the way incest is than abuse. There's a slight difference, so I don't really want to. I'll just stick with like abuse for right now, but that's spot on. Yeah.
I mean, anyway, I think I was just thinking of what Grace said to us, though, thinking of like the incest stuff of her just kind of saying that I don't know. She seems to. It almost feels like both her and Ben want to acknowledge that this thing happened sometimes.
Yeah.
That they want to admit it. Yeah.
She did say that there was a sexual aspect of it, so that was something that
Hey,
I
But
mean,
then they'll
like,
try to twist what the definition of that means.
yeah.
right. Yeah, I don't know if it's already if it's too long, but it'd be interesting to watch a little bit of the I didn't sign up for this job, because it seems like one of the few times Grace goes
Yeah, let's
against
do it.
Ben.
I guess Coop actually doesn't want to be added on. I don't know.
I
Coop, did you want to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you're doing a great job, though. I'm very impressed by Cog as well. I hope he sticks around for like some of the next ones if you're doing a series. But I'll stay for a little bit. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're gonna find this video of like them having a mental breakdown, or Grace having a mental breakdown.
I'll love to
And
see
yeah,
that.
just keep in mind that as we were just watching, I kind of skipped past that video too quickly. There was one more timestamp that I had, but yeah, it's literally Ben trying to convince, like trying to get Grace into it, and then Grace is like into their issues and to be like a mother to the children and blah blah blah, and then Grace somehow still goes back and blames it all on. Oh, it's on Ben's channel, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it's on Grace's. No, it's on Grace's. It's called I didn't sign up for this job 5 months ago in the lives.
It's crazy how she ended up in this like Nazi side of the internet too.
There it is. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Okay.
In the Thorp
Yeah,
family.
This is
This is after I believe Courtney finally fully left and is living in her car. So Grace is having to be parentified by Ben, actually, fully. I mean, Ben doesn't want to do any work. I don't know if Coop knows more about this, but
it actually is co-op too, I think.
Co-op.
No,
To this, well, we call him Coop, but I think it actually
Whatever
does
you
stand for
want.
co-op in regards to that
whatever's
comment.
easier for you.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hello, internet. It's 5:12 p.m. Friday, March 24th, 2023, and I'm gonna go no chat here for a while because I freeze up a little bit when I come on camera to talk about stuff. But I was just talking with my family and I was losing it because I'm sick of my role in this family. I am sick of my role in the Thorp family. Yesterday, my dad was talking to my mom, who has decided that she is going to run off and start her own life. And I am not okay with that. I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it. And I don't care if I never fucking get over it. My mother is 50 years old.
So let's just address first that that's not what happened.
Well, it seems like Courtney's wanting to get away from the abuse, and she's even homeless because of it, or living. I don't know where she was living at the time. But
That's kind of where you would end up. There's nowhere to go.
Right. I think she might have had anyway, yeah. And Grace, anyway, we'll see. She's very angry about this. She's parentified.
And she's living in a hotel and she's saying she's going to start her own life. I am not okay with that. I'm not okay with being the new mother of this family. This has been going on since I was fucking 7 years old. My mother has said, I'm having problems. I need you to hold down the fort. I have not been allowed to have friends, live my own life. I went to school. I left school. I dropped out of high school because mommy was having problems. I wasn't allowed to pursue my own things. I've never been allowed to have my own personality because of this fucking family, and always them saying, it's been her, but like everybody saying like, you're not free to make your own decisions. You're not free to do what you want to do because you have to do what's best for this fucking family. You have to do the restaurant because that's what's best for this fucking family. You can't go out with your friends. You can't go get a job. Because now I'm in this fucking position where I'm not free because my dad and my siblings, they can't do it by themselves, but I can't stay here and be like, I don't want to clean up this house. This is my mother's house. She made a mess. It's not my fucking job.
Here, pause it. I just think it's interesting. She actually says my dad and my siblings. She doesn't just blame her mom. Well, it's not their siblings' fault, obviously, but my dad wants me to take care of the house. Like she even says him.
Well, the reason why is mainly when you're in an abusive household and there's that one guy who's dominating everything, the blame always kind of shifts to the path of least resistance. So if the fact that Ben has already primed her as the scapegoat or whatever, that's what Grace is going to blame it on too, because she's bought into whatever her father is believing, or that's just a brief assessment, you know.
And also the fact she says I can't have my own personality. Like, I don't know.
Well, because she's scared if she says something what Ben will do. Like if she says
Mhm.
something that he disagrees with. That's why Courtney is so measured with her responses. That's why when Grace is live and she don't want to be, she's like, yeah, okay. Oh, baby Playboy, I don't get it. Okay, yeah,
Right, right.
You
So
know?
I just have one thing to add on that. Like, I don't know how I'm going to word this, but I'm starting to see Grace becoming Courtney in this. Like, isn't this everything that Courtney would have been feeling and wishing she could have said? And
Exactly.
Yeah.
Courtney is Grace after Grace gets older, and it's just like you got to get away from the fucking bed.
yeah, one last thing. I saw this other interrogation recently, and the guy, he'll be a famous case. What was it now? He got with a very young girl. Then he had a kid with that girl, and the kid got taken off them. But then later she met back up with them, and he did the same thing. He made his own daughter into his wife, and then abused
yeah.
her the same way. And there's just so much overlap.
Right, that
with it.
Netflix.
I'm not sure, but like he even moved. He started sleeping on the floor in that bedroom. And the wife was very concerned with that. And that reminds. Someone said something earlier of someone
About
said something
Grace.
yeah, sleeping in moving the sofa into that room or something.
Right.
It just overlapped too much for me.
Yeah. That Ben, they
just
admitted
want-
that Ben doing that, moving in the couch into Grace's room. Sorry.
I was just reading a little bit before this live, and I found out that 1 in 20 families have incest.
Mhm.
There's an incest case in 1 in 20. That's way higher than I thought it would be.
Wow, that's interesting. I wonder.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So if
That's
Ben
crazy.
if Ben has 20 kids, we can almost guarantee it, then, can't we?
Yeah. All right. Let's do.
Okay. Cube, if you need to go, don't feel awkward about it too.
I'll be.
Fucking have kids. I didn't fucking get married, and she's been doing this to me my entire fucking life, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I want to be free. I want to be free. I want to be free.
Okay, so this is really interesting because, okay, she says this, but I have these screenshots from the Ben video that was filmed literally like on the same day as this, or a day before or a day after. I can't remember exactly. I'm gonna keep playing, but I'm gonna bring them up.
The 20-year-old. She's 51 fucking years old. I'm sick of it. I want to be free to do what I want to do. I'm sick of my relationship with my dad having all this pressure on it because she's acting crazy. I've never been allowed to just be a normal daughter. It's always been super pressured. I'm sick of my relationship with my siblings.
So I believe that she's being authentic here, but it's just interesting.
It's hard to tell though. I wanted to say.
I
that
think she
before, that,
totally is.
Right,
it's
there's like a
really hard to tell. There's days before that she does this, and people have seen her like planning it and scripting it. So like, and I can't tell the difference when she's fake crying and real crying.
Well, because there's that video that I've shared before where she like tries to tell Courtney like I hate my dad, and it seems like a bait to get Courtney to say something maybe she shouldn't. But
Yeah, exactly.
look
at all the pain my mother's inflicted on me. This is what I'm getting from this.
Right.
This looks very, very genuine to me. Like somebody that's very distressed.
Well, let me read these
If
chats.
this is fake, she's an excellent actress. That's all.
Yeah, I think she's very, very
So
sincere here.
I think it's like the whole thing of like use it. If you feel that way, then go on stream and express it.
Yes.
You know.
I did notice that she corrected herself a couple times when she started saying, "And my dad," but it's my mom. But you know, like it's
She
still
knows to
tied
still
into
say-
it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, guys. So she's in Ben's chat the same day, right? And this is what she's saying in Ben's chat. And if that's your theory, then I think maybe this goes to show like her feeling the need to like defend Ben for brownie points with him, because she says in the chat, I would like to take the weight off my dad's shoulders by taking charge and making decisions. My dad certainly doesn't take all the credit for caring for the kids, and I certainly don't care for them any more than he does. I personally, as an adult, would like to secure their futures against my mother's anger. I do not want my mom back. I'm hoping to hire a maid or work something out like that. My sister, and then she says in my next screenshot here, she says, I can live my best life with no stress. I think my best life includes standing up to this abuse and securing me and my siblings' financial, educational, and psychological stability. She says, of course she doesn't like the fact that I want to be in charge because she knows that I have no sympathy for her.
So it's like here, right? Oh,
she
just
says, I would, yeah, she's saying I would like to secure their futures as an
secure their.
adult.
So it's like
And
14
the
words.
last one says, yeah, so she's pretty much like standing by this, like, or in the Ben chat.
Right, in the Ben chat, she's like telling him what he wants to, I assume wants to hear.
Right.
But
Totally.
in this one, it's just a little different.
It just seems like Ben saw this, saw whatever video happened recently, and she had a good talking to, or
Yes.
he watched this view.
Could
he
be
talked
entirely
to her,
possible.
and now she's overcompensating on the other.
Well,
thing.
but in a way, it's like the rope video that happened recently, where she burned all the bridges, all the people she had to be fake nice to.
The two sides of her.
Right, like Ben wants her
Yes,
in some ways to like go off, like go blow off some steam. That's part of the control. But anyway, we can keep watching it.
Well, I wanted to say before you continue,
sorry.
is that wouldn't be uncommon in the victim either to be like what Courtney calls double-minded. That wouldn't be uncommon to be like, I want this, I'm tired of this, I'm sick of that, and then the next day be like, no, you're right. That wouldn't be uncommon anyway to be what, like I said, as Courtney calls it, being double-minded. That wouldn't be uncommon in the victims. In a victim, either, to be kind of duplicitous or whatever you want to call it.
And can I ask if Courtney's in the chat? Did she feel this video was true? Like that Grace really meant these things? Okay.
Okay, let's play.
That I'm like their half mom and half sister. I've never been allowed to fucking rebel. Fuck you. Fuck this fucking family. I fucking hate it. I hate you. I hate this. It'd be better if I left and went to another country than to ever do this again. I hate it. It's not my mess to clean up. I didn't have these kids. I didn't have these kids, and I didn't fuck up. And yeah, mom, you fucked up. Now fix it. I'm not okay with you just leaving. It's not my mess to clean up. It's not my mess to clean up. And you think I'm just gonna clean it up? No, it's gonna be a fucking disaster. I want to go out. I want to have sex with whoever I want to have sex with. I want to party. I want to spend a ton.
Oh, it makes fun of me for being a whore.
Right. Well, I mean, it's just interesting to hear her say things that we all would hope that she could have freedom, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just weird to hear this and then hear Grace from the last stream where the idea of any kind of freedom is like a joke to her. She's like, no, I don't want to leave, and I'm happy with my dad, and you guys are fucking idiots.
I find it really interesting that she tries to look directly at the camera to address Courtney, but all of the other content when she's not looking at the camera is also directed at Courtney.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, it is interesting. Yeah.
Dude, that pause is crazy.
Ton of money.
Yeah.
I just hate it. I hate all of this shit of me coming to this fucking house that my mother fucking made dirty, and they're fucking looking around.
It's interesting. She said, "Oh, my mom made it dirty." It seems like her mom was the only one that was cleaning.
Well, I made this point earlier that like if you abuse your wife, your house is going to be dirtier than if you didn't abuse your wife. But what was interesting is Courtney left and the entire thing went to shit. So that tells me everything I need to know. As well, again, an additional point, like Grace is making all this fuss about all this responsibility she has. I've never seen her really do anything besides fuck it up. Yeah, go ahead.
And just to remind everybody, in a normal family, what would happen here is the father would take the responsibility of caring for the family.
Yes.
It's quite simple.
Right, and he refuses to do that. But also, Courtney said that what someone said named Seraphim Goose was saying was true, which is they said, I guess it's possible Grace is being as authentic as possible while still lying to herself. So
I agree with that as well. There's definitely a lot of truth with that. There was something else. Sorry, no, come on.
Yeah.
You can see it. I hate it. I'm gonna waste my youth if I don't get out of this fucking cycle. I hate it. I'm just gonna go. It's been 5 years now. I was 15.
She almost sounds like kind of kids who are in addiction. Like when I was in rehab, most of the young people have that same exact line of thought, and yet still can't stop.
Yeah.
Well, like I'm gonna waste my youth, or I'm gonna waste my life.
To the earlier point that we just moved past, I did like you're saying the father, like how a father would behave in this relation. Either he'd do it himself or he'd do more himself, but what he wouldn't do is let his daughter keep thinking and feeling this way and blaming the mother. Even if he didn't do anything more, you could support your daughter to take care of the kids and not let her entertain these really fucked up ideas.
Right.
Right.
It just further clarifies how Ben is the issue here. In my eyes.
Now I'm 20, and it's gonna be, what am I gonna be, 25, 30, 45? I'm gonna be doing this fucking shit. I just had to get that out of my system. It's just, I'm so fucking sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I'm sick of acting like her mother. I didn't make her choices in life. I've never been allowed to make my own mistakes and fuck up and try and live my own life and have my own relationship. It's always been, do it for this fucking family! I hate it! I hate this family! I hate it! I hate it! I love my siblings. I love my dad. I love my mom. But I'm so sick of this fucking... I'm so sick of it.
Notice, by the way, she said something like, "I'm not gonna act like her mom," like some kind of Ben logic that Grace is acting like Courtney's mother.
He was
She's
saying
being a
that.
victim.
I think maybe hit the younger children.
Or well, because Ben always talks about how Courtney's mother is what started all this. Like, you know, you're acting like your mother, Courtney, and so but it just seems crazy. Like Grace is acting like Courtney's mother. I don't know. It's.
Hey, I'm sorry. I was going
Sorry.
to make a movie reference real quick. I don't know the name of this movie, but it's this girl who's stuck in this house with some crazy people, and there's dolls all over, and you have to pretend that she's a doll or this guy will attack her. But she's totally living in another reality that she uses as some kind of disassociated fugue.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
I thought somebody might know the name of the movie.
Maybe the
chat
chat will.
The Boy? Is it called The Boy? No.
No. Give me a second. Never mind.
It'll figure it out. What were you gonna say, Amelia?
I was just gonna say, I think it's in the second stream of the series of the glimpse into a female philosopher, where Ben was saying that he basically has 7 kids, implying that he treats Courtney as if she was like another of his children. So I mean, he's constantly trying to point that out, I guess, and it shows with what Grace is saying too, that
Courtney is like a child that he takes care of almost.
Yeah,
in his mind.
Yeah, and Courtney wants me to be her mom. So that was the whole kind of Ben logic. That's what I was trying to. Yeah.
Interesting.
Sick of it. I'm sick of having a cough because I smoke, because I'm stressed out by my fucking mother. I'm sick of being a little bit overweight because I'm stressed out by my fucking mother. I'm sick of not ever wearing makeup or being able to go shopping because I'm so stressed out and there's so much to do because of my fucking mother. Clean up your own goddamn mess! Clean up your own mess! It's not my mess! It's not my mess! And I hate your fucking cult where I clean it up!
Your cult.
Yeah. And also,
that's exactly what Ben wants to be, is a cult leader.
Yeah, it's a cult. Yeah, and she calls it a cult. And Courtney says here she genuinely has suffered so much, and Ben and I did this to her. I mean,
it's a lot more Ben, I think.
No, but I mean, yeah, it is a lot more Ben. But I think it's good that Courtney's, taking responsibility for all this, and we're watching this, and yes, that's what I see. It's why I've watched this video a lot. I see the suffering that Grace has. You know what I mean? When people see Grace as just this pawn of Ben who's they hate or something, but look at how much Grace is suffering here, and that's what I feel like she goes through all the time too.
And this comment too is definitely, I think Grace is definitely, she has a lot of pent up suffering for sure. But this comment is also great. It says, didn't Grace mention the other stream how it's normal in Catholicism for a child to never get married if they take care of the parent? That's quite the change in thinking in only a few months.
Yeah. Grace was basically saying there's some people that just live to serve, and they're like a nun or a monk or something, and that's how she sees herself.
I'll be honest. My real fear is that Grace does get married, if you know what I mean.
Oh, right. To Ben? Or what?
Yeah, that's how the other case ended.
Right. Oh, yeah. that they run
You've
away.
got to go to Maryland to do it and lie about your name, but not to give you any ideas, Grace.
Right.
I hate it.
Well, I just don't want the neighbors. Also, Maggie doesn't know how to get to control StreamYard. Doesn't she need to be on StreamYard?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Ben is just sitting
Wow.
right there.
No, what's amazing is like who I don't even like Grace. She's been a bitch to, well, I've got a weird relationship with her, but there's a lot that I don't like. There's a few things that I do like. But who sees the daughter like this in this condition and says, "Oh yeah, what about those chores you forgot?" What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like kind of
Says
like,
a lot.
how does Maggie
He's like,
get
"This
on the
is
stream
Keno."
or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't care.
I mean,
Maggie, if you go to the iMac and you go to Dad, and then you can run the. Okay, I'm looking through the chat now because I've gotten it out of my.
See, this is very real because she's hyperventilating and everything.
yeah, I noticed that the moment that Ben came in, she just has to keep the momentum of how upset she feels going. And I don't know.
The movie is called Ghostland. Sorry,
Okay.
I had to look that up.
Interesting. Yeah.
You're making your mother the scapegoat. Go find a job and move
Okay,
out.
I'm making my mother the scapegoat. Go find a job and move out, bitch. Okay, if I move out, then my dad is left with my 2 siblings, and they're gonna clean up this house. Yeah, there you go, Maggie. Okay, you can pop the chats if you want.
She can move out and take the kids with her. Has she never considered that?
Yeah.
That's true. And it's like, I'm sure Courtney wants the kids too.
Wait, look what
I feel like
King
she
of
is having.
Exceptional Detective Brian, or daughter on the verge of an hearing on stream, comes in to tell her to suiciding, comes in to tell her to shut the door and make the stream better. Like, he's even saying like, your daughter's freaking out, and like it's just like he doesn't say shit, Yeah.
Yeah, he has no cares.
I don't know what Anne heroing means. Comes in to shut the door. Anyways, I'm gonna go back to normal. I'm not looking at the chat, but Maggie, if you want to pop up chats. I'm really sick of it. I'm really, really sick of it. It's been my whole life like this, and I don't know like whose fault it is, but like it's been like this since I was 8 years old.
They're always trying to find fault and somebody to blame.
And I think when she was,
She's questioning herself. She thinks it's herself at blame.
Well, because when she was 8, I believe that's when the Ethiopian restaurant started. I could be wrong, but maybe that's how she feels.
Is that when Ben needed to start really controlling Courtney when this business thing started? I know there's the real estate thing before that.
It might have. I don't know. Courtney might know, but I think maybe it was Ethiopian and then the Airbnbs. But I know that Grace was like doing work in the Ethiopian stuff even as a younger kid, because they had to keep everything together. They couldn't let the business fail. Ben's business, and I think also Ben might have taken a lot of the responsibility. He even admits this. He was like, "I'd be smoking out front while Courtney and the kids would do all the work," which is insane.
Yeah.
He's like in the Destiny stream says that.
Even if you look at the reviews of that restaurant as well, they even talk about Ben's behavior in the restaurant in the reviews of the restaurant.
No shit.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
I'll get a link to that one second.
Yeah,
he is socially horrible.
Just don't understand. I don't understand why after all of this, like my mom is gonna go and live her own life. You don't get to. Okay, you can do that, Mom, Courtney, Thorp, Courtney Human.
Okay, sorry to pause it so much. I'll let it play for a while longer. But
Courtney Human.
I think that her emotions are like valid, or like they're real here. But I think that it's such a twisted narrative, like from Ben, because it's like, it's not like,
but
it's like I just know this isn't true.
So I think that's what he's done to her, is that the only way she can handle her emotions, or this is how she looks at everything, this is how she handles all of her emotions, this is how she's been taught to do it. She can only do it this way.
And
you can do that.
She cracks at a few times in here where she's able to see holes in the narrative too, that the father, she does do that.
Yeah, like I
So-
shouldn't be taking care of all the kids in the family. Yeah.
Well, you could see it by the way she adds, certain things like my mother and qualifiers in there after she says certain things in passion or whatever. But she's angry, but she's confused, and she doesn't know what the hell to do. But she feels like she needs to be getting out of the house, not Courtney, because
Yeah, and
that's
Ben
what
is
normal
just
people do.
loving this.
And
Ben
yeah,
is loving
Ben
it.
is
He's like,
Ben is
"Yep, let's get the
trapping her.
camera. Show
The
how
reason
horrible
why
Courtney is."
I said earlier about it being scripted and stuff, I believe when she left with the RV the first time that Ben had involvement with that, or he had some influence in that. I mean, it's his RV after all.
Yeah,
but
that was fake.
This seems genuine. This seems genuine.
Yeah,
I feel for it.
Sorry, 1 second, guys. I got the reviews right here. Let's see.
I think you on the TripAdvisor.
Oh,
It's on TripAdvisor.
Yeah. If you find
Here.
the name, then you can find Abyssinia. Yeah.
There's also a Yelp review.
Yes, yeah, it might be Yelp, yeah. But
Yelp
there it
review.
mentions that. Look for the ones where it talks about his behavior and like the having arguments in front of customers and this kind of thing.
Okay.
If you want to
Somebody
carry on,
loves
Eva, I'll look through those reviews
Yeah,
and you send me the link back and carry on and I'll
Yeah.
look through.
That's interesting.
No, I'm not cleaning up the mess. I'm not cleaning it up. It's going to be a fucking disaster, and I want you to know that you caused it. You made the mess, and you are not cleaning it up. And I am not cleaning it up. I'm not touching one fucking thing in this fucking house. You made the mess. You tell me how it makes sense. You tell me how it makes sense that now I'm going to cook dinner, or I'm going to tell Maggie and Joey, I'm going to tell them to do their chores. You tell me how that makes sense. They're not my kids. They're not my kids. I want to have a free relationship with them where I can say I want to hang out with them or not, as a sister, not as some kind of surrogate mother. And you can say all you want. You're not putting me in that situation.
Valid.
You are, because you feel free to leave. You shouldn't feel free to leave. They're your fucking children.
That's true, but I need to know the context. Like, did you just actually?
I did this when I was younger.
Did
I
she
bought into
just
your fucking
actually
thing when I was
leave?
8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Okay,
she means
so-
what I think she means is that she left in that I believe they let her go to school for the first time. Like she was able to like not be homeschooled, and so I think it might be like that she was not working at Abyssinia or whatever the Ethiopian restaurant was called,
That's it.
and I think what kind of happens is Grace does her own thing, and then maybe when she turns 15, then Ben gives her all the attention and all the grooming happens. So I think that's kind of what she means. Sorry, that's just
I found one of
13 years old. You said, Grace, can you hold down?
I found one of the reviews, but it's got a bit of a problem because it says that he was with his wife and 7 children. Maybe it's a
miss a typo.
So it says he said having all these kids that were just sitting there while the owner was talking business out in the open was very awkward and uncomfortable. He was talking to the waiter who was new in a very belittling way while the waiter was doing an excellent job. If the owner needs to talk business, please do it in a more quiet way without all of your children sitting around watching us eat.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Boy, we know all too well about that being the truth, don't we?
He was power posturing.
Right, like all the little all these. I just imagine like a line of kids and a wife just sitting there while Ben's like, look at this waiter. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to serve this food, and everyone's watching him. Just like we just saw earlier. I don't know. I can imagine that.
And to what Seraphim Goose is saying, like, yeah, part like this particular video is a little bit different, but at the same time, I can see that she's kind of doing some extra stuff. But this is more realistic than normal, I would say, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But when she's doing that other stuff, I mean, it's clear that she's also manipulative. We don't overlook that either.
Down the fort, hold down the fort. So I watched your children for hours every day, hours and hours and hours, probably like 12 hours a day. I watched them. I tried to cook. I tried to keep order. I'm so sick of that. I thought it was over. I thought I was investing in you. So
Grace acting like she's not participating in the abuse that pushed Courtney to leave. Don't buy this bitch's shit.
Well, I think that two things can be true, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
that I could live my own life and I can go get my nails done and I can take a shower whenever I want and I don't have to worry about you and how you're doing. But instead, it just ends up with you leaving You're gonna go start your own life. No, that's my job. That's for me. I am the young woman, not you. You are an old hag. You had kids. You fucking got married. That's your mess to clean up, not mine.
Once again, it's Courtney's mess. Courtney is the evil one that's putting her in control of all the kids.
I mean, what the fuck does Ben do? Like, what does he do? Like, is he capable of walking? Like, is this like what is?
No, I mean,
like,
whenever Grace, whenever Grace left, Ben all he would do is put some chips in the oven. We're dead serious. He showed us.
I know those chips.
How he took tortilla chips
don't
in the
even
oven.
go in the oven.
I know.
Well, no, he was putting them in the oven, Cog, because they were stale, and I guess he had heard that's what will freshen them up, give them some crispiness. But again, I love the unprofessionalism. How you just shouted that out about like, what the fuck does Ben do?
But what does he do? Like, he just sits there and he just like is just all over the place, taking up all this energy in the fucking place and doing nothing. Like,
Sucking out all the energy out of the room like a vortex.
He talks all this shit about being a man, but a man can actually do some work on the house. Like, that shit is masculine too. All right. If you can make your place look
here.
then
that's
you
interesting.
can do some shit.
Yeah. When they had Airbnbs, Ben did plumbing and he did a bunch of like hard work and like I could fix stuff and fix up houses and all kinds of stuff, but at some point he just chose to just do nothing and be the princess.
No, the way that I understand that is that and this is where the bipolar thing came from, that like it'd come in cycles or waves. Like he'd be very productive and very useful, but then he'd be very useful and wouldn't wake up for it. It'd come in those kinds of cycles that maybe Cog knows more about than I do.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you're right. And or maybe it was like that after the Ethiopian business might have failed, then there was a huge depressive cycle that was longer than usual or something. Anyway.
Okay.
I guess if you're saying he's like bipolar, I don't know.
Why can't you? Oh, you putting me on? Yeah. What's it? Oh, hang on. Let me just turn my camera on.
Okay, Maggie's gonna be on. Let's
Yeah,
not
we
have
should-
Maggie. But I'll have the audio go.
Yeah. Well,
If you can still hear.
Leave the kids out of it.
And let's just get that. She's only on for a second.
Okay.
Maggie chatting, then you can leave because I really like Maggie and she's free to say whatever she wants. And my mom's done this thing to her too. When I left with my dad, my mom did the same thing to Maggie. She said, "You've got to, can you make dinner tonight? Can you blah blah blah?" And Maggie's tried really hard to keep her space and not let my mom cross those boundaries and turn her into me. Okay, and I get it. I totally am sympathetic with Maggie, and she's done the same thing. And my mom does the same thing to both of us girls in this fucking family, where we've got to cover for her. And I think she should be sick of it too.
If that's true, that's pretty much.
Doesn't mention her father once.
That's Maggie right there.
Yeah.
Maggie, please pull up Provo Kid's comments. He is desperately begging for you to bring them up. Okay. She said, "Bruh." He's very needy, Maggie. He wants to talk. He wants. I'm fine now. You can pop people up. You haven't been popping chats up. It's okay if you don't want to, but like, I'm just not looking.
Very needy.
I don't want Maggie to be my anchor, though. I don't want her. Like, I get it. I'm the unstable one, and she's like, yeah, Maggie's genuinely. I know she's younger than me, but she's like more stable and whatever. She's a different personality, and I think she's great. But I don't want her to be my anchor. I want her to respect me, not think of me as like her crazy older sister. Her crazy older sister who can't get anything together. I haven't been able to get anything together because this is fucking pattern. Like, I'm not allowed to live my own life in this fucking family.
It's interesting she
I'm not allowed
says
to have a
that.
relationship with.
Like she's saying, I want my sister to see me as a sister, and not just as a crazy mother figure sister thing, That's something that you would hope Grace would say, like, wait, I want my siblings to see me as my siblings. But yeah,
she's just saying that she knows she's not normal. That this shit is not normal.
Yeah. Well, and Maggie since then has said stuff like that, like, I don't want to turn out like you. And
yes.
Yeah, but unfortunately that's what Grace says about Courtney.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Coop, Courtney wrote a message for you in the chat.
Can you? I'm on StreamYard. Please, could you Thank you.
Says look for a review which says Ben smells like cat piss.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
Okay. God.
Okay.
With dad, where I can say like, I want to take a break, or I want to, you know, I want to do stuff with you, or I don't want to do stuff with you, because it's just this fucking pressure. Like, I really like him. I think he's a great guy, and he's helped me so much, but there's always been so much fucking pressure on it, and I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I feel guilty. Oh, I'm just so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. So sick of it. I'm sick of looking around this house and seeing all the things we tried to do as a family and saying that I've got to like clean up and fix them. I just can't. Oh, it's so frustrating. Why don't I get to rebel? Why don't I get to rebel and go and take the money and go spend it on a hotel room for myself? Why don't I get to do that? My fucking 51-year-old mother gets to do that? Why? Why does she deserve that? Why? Why? What is she rebelling against? She made these choices. It's not my job to clean.
They say it's just like, I just keep going back to literally the previous videos that we watched of, you can leave, you can take the money, like, we're not controlling you.
Right. And the fact that, like, I don't think Courtney didn't want to leave. I don't,
Yeah.
you know, this whole situation that, you know, we're mostly talking about the abuse, but if we're talking about like the whole entirety of the situation, like an incestuous relationship with a daughter where Courtney is like villainized and pushed out, I think Courtney would prefer to have been in the home with her kids and even her husband that she loved. Like, she doesn't want to, you know, I think Courtney would want Grace to be gone and doing her own thing. You know?
I think if Ben was not in the picture, shit could be totally normal. But you know, I don't know. I'm just that's the way I feel.
I agree.
I don't think it would be totally normal because of all the trauma they've been through, but it would definitely be way more normal. But there's no way you could just go snap back into normal after all these years of this abuse and trauma and bullshit, you know?
Yeah. I didn't mean it like that. I meant that if in like a hypothetical, if Ben was not in this family, like he left when Grace was 15, it could have turned out normal.
Right.
I just kind of lost it. Because I just feel like I'm always trying to say like, okay, it's gonna be okay. All right, mom left. Okay, I'm not like, yeah, I'm just an older sister. I'm not gonna be like the mother. I'm just gonna be like the sister who's helping. But like, I don't know. It's like this pattern where I always say to myself like, okay, I gotta be a good girl now. I gotta help. I gotta go to the grocery store and get the groceries. And like, it's this like I just like every day I'm like, I would just like to live in my own apartment and be responsible for my own stuff. And I can't take it anymore. I can't take working with this family anymore. It's like whether it's like that I'm putting this pressure on it or that it's naturally there. It's like I'm just not living the life I want to live. I am not. It's just
Ava,
I do everything out of a sense of.
like when she says like I go to the grocery store, I'm the good girl. Isn't that kind of what you saw? Like Grace takes all the groceries for Ben. She's the good girl, right?
And in the clip, the little short or whatever it is where he spits on her, you notice how he's telling her something about she's not a good person or something like that. And as he walks off after spitting on her, she sits up with this look on her face of like, please don't see me that way. And then she sits up and she says, but Dad, I am a good person. She's just like, it's terrible, you know? To see her desperation of like, please don't see me that way because it's not true, please, you know?
It's sadistic.
I mean, there's a whole thing that we could do even
very sadistic.
Even within the context of that was all when she kept missing her flights for the trips. I mean, who knows? Anyway, it's just interesting to think like how they fought back and forth about whether she'd go or not. Anyway.
Obligation, and I don't even really do it because I'm so mad that I'm doing it out of a sense of obligation that I'm just like, you know what, I don't even do it. It's not like I'm some kind of like workhorse. I don't do it. I'm just a mess every day, and I don't want to be a mess anymore. I don't want to be a mess. My mom likes it that I'm a mess. She doesn't want me to be successful. She likes it that I'm a mess because then it makes her feel like she like better. I wasn't a mess in high school. I mean, I was, but like I did stuff. I went to like practice and stuff. I wasn't just a mess, and now she's turned me back into like that 8-year-old who's saying like, okay, I want to keep this family together. I hate it. I hate this family. I hate this house. I hate.
That's interesting that she says her mom wants her to be a mess. I'm like, dude, you're describing your dad to a T.
Exactly. I was just thinking that in my head, that it's actually the other way around. And I did want to say, that I know you don't like for people to say this, Grace, you know, and it doesn't make a difference to you, but we're not doing any of this to hurt you. We really all want to see help for you. We really have no ill intentions of trying to harm you. We really, really want to see you in a better place and in a better life. We really do.
Yes, and I think all of us, I don't want to speak for everyone, but it seems like the people that saw the original documentaries or were there when it was all happening just hoped that Grace would leave her dad, you know, wanted the best for her, even if after she attacked all of us, you know.
I have the spit video right here.
Trigger warning for abuse. This is an edit.
What the fuck?
I'm
This
sure
is
many
like
of
an
you are
edit.
watching the show for the second time. Or maybe even the fifth time.
Read the expressions on her face and in her eyes.
He spits on her
What are
there.
you waiting for?
I'm not really selfish.
What are you waiting for?
Okay.
Not editing. What the fuck?
It's an edit by
Yeah, by Bully. Yeah, you don't have to watch the entire thing.
Yeah, it's kind of just. It's a great
Damn.
edit, but
Dude,
now-
it's like holy shit! Like that face is like that could be like a like she could be.
She looks
it
so
looks like
terrified.
a movie.
Right.
Yes, you
actor.
can. She now let me tell the people that don't realize this. She was very hungover from drinking too much and sick when all this
Okay.
happened, and that's why he was mad at her. Is because he said you told me you were going to spend time with me, and that's why he was so mad at her. Is because she got too drunk and hungover to spend time with him, and that's what he was pissed off about. And
What?
but regardless of being hungover, you can see it on her face and in her eyes, like that she's afraid when she like hears him coming close. You know that she's like, you can see it in her face. It's clear you can see it in her face that she's like listening to the sounds of where he's located and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know,
It's like she's in a movie hiding from a monster, and then
Well,
it's coming
well,
closer to her.
Well, right. There's, and also she was supposed to go. Yeah, she was supposed to fly to LA, so she missed the flight. But like the posting of that video, the whole day that it happened, it was like they posted the video of her showing that she fucked everything up. All these texts were posted between Grace and her dad, and then I believe she had a big VC with all of us talking about how she wouldn't go on the trip until she got Courtney to stop the restraining order. Right? So it was like, I don't know, to me it's a great example, I could be overthinking this, of Ben's manipulations of like, look how fucked up Grace is.
It's all Ben's manipulation.
Right, but just the complexity of it. Like, look how fucked up Grace is. We're gonna put this into the Discord. Look, the if we read the text, they're all about how she's like saying, I'm gonna be a good girl, Dad. I'm gonna be a good girl. I'm not a whore, or something like that. Really disturbing stuff. But ultimately, it felt like when we go back to the stuff of Courtney had to bring John back to like get John to take back what he said about Ben. It felt like Grace was almost told like, you shouldn't go on this trip until you get your mom to take away the restraining order. You know what I mean? I know that you guys aren't there for that.
I know.
But it was interesting.
The very specific type of manipulation that Ben tends to specialize in is the ones where the people have to question themselves if they're actually being correct or not, and it fluctuates so much that they end up being so confused about how they should act in person that they just don't have anywhere to go because Ben makes it so there's nowhere to go.
I think I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, keep going, Coop. Sorry.
No,
go ahead.
You had another sentence of that.
That's okay. I forgot it.
I was going to say that like maybe that's where that's coming from is Ben himself. I think that's what Ben does to himself, and I've heard that like I don't know if recently, but like he used to really beat himself up like in private, like really despise himself. I'm not sure if that changed, but like if
flagellate.
Yeah, like really hating himself. But like if you're constantly tearing yourself to pieces and questioning yourself, you can project that onto someone else then because he's experienced in that.
Yeah. And you see the underlying anger anytime somebody says something to him that makes him mad. Like, he has very little anger threshold. When he gets really angry, he's just gone because he needs to maintain, his image, but it's always under there.
Yeah. I think it maybe is his main hatred is for himself and not for Courtney or Grace or anything. But that's that channel's my friend's Billy's channel, the one that you just saw. He makes like avant-garde videos and edits and stuff. So I thought I'd shout him out since I'm using that one.
He was cool at it. Yeah, cool.
Okay.
I forgot what I wanted to say, so probably wasn't.
I can't, like, I'm just finding myself in this position where, like, I don't feel free to leave because I feel like that would leave my siblings and my dad in this position where I feel bad for them. I don't want to, like, I'm not ready to start my own life or whatever, but also, like, I just am not thriving here. Why don't I deserve to thrive? Why don't I deserve to be happy? I'm never happy. I'm always feeling guilty. Why don't I deserve to be happy? And she deserves to, like, find her happiness. I want my mom to be happy, but I don't see how she's gonna be like, she thinks she can just, like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to do any more coping for you, Mom. You made a mistake. You had a lot of kids, and you thought you got married, and it was a mistake. It's not my.
It's interesting how she shifts. She's like, I want my mom to be happy, and then has, like,
Yeah,
this energy
you know
shift.
what's happy? Her definition of happy right there was away from Ben, just gone. She's leaving, so she's happy. So she knows what the problem is in that sentence right there. She knows that in order to get away, she wants to be happy, like her mom is going to be. She's jealous of him. She's leaving. So that's where happiness is, not in this house.
Mistake. It's not my mistake. You want to be miserable for the rest of your life because you made a mistake, then fine, but it's not going to be good. You are actively, Maggie said to me, like, okay, great, so you're having this problem, so are my needs going to get met? Like, are we going to have dinner tonight? Am I going to be able to go to Target like I said I wanted to? And I said to her, I'm not the one putting your needs on hold. Mom is. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's Mom's job to figure out a way to arrange this so that everybody's happy. It's not my job. I am not like my mother. I am like her in some ways, but I'm not like her. And she had a chance. She fucking, she acts like such a fucking victim. When she
all
left
on
her family,
Courtney.
she went to college, and then she had, like,
all of
years
Ben's
to herself,
talking
to
points
find herself,
here.
to try different things, have different jobs, meet different people. Okay, she is actively taking that away from me. Isn't the marriage over though? Yeah, the marriage, it never started. My mother and father weren't married. You can see that obviously by just watching one of my mother's streams. She is like, she's
Joseph.
kind of out. Okay, it's not even close to somebody who could be married to somebody. Okay, so she made a mistake. So what? I didn't get married to somebody and then.
It's pretty fucked up. All the kids are in the chat right now.
Yeah, and I mean, this is what Courtney would be like when she has more energy and has just gone through it for maybe 10 years,
Yeah, I see that.
Oops.
I wasn't ready for this. I don't care. It's not my problem to fix. It is not my problem. Maybe I should have been a little. I know you mean that well, but I have been so nice to my mother. I've been so nice to her. You don't see it on stream because when it's in public, I don't know what that means. I tend to be more aggressive, but Jesus Christ almighty, I've been so nice to my mom.
Like it would be the
years
opposite.
of just not pushing back, doing what she told me to do,
That's
trying so hard. Whatever, like, I tried. I've been so nice to her. It's like I'm super repressed. I grabbed her by the hair. Yeah, I went like this. Okay. Yeah. Sometimes when you get pushed to a certain point, you know.
Oh yeah, she went like that. Just a little.
Well, she did it twice. She did it. Yeah. Also, it's like you pulled her hair.
She's being manipulative now. She has learned this skill by minimizing again and catastrophizing what it is or whatever.
That's exactly what they said. Yeah.
I do think there's some.
She's like, I just want like this.
Yeah. Go on.
I wanted to say that Ashley's in the chat, and she said that she's at the airport now, leaving from, I guess, Rhode Island, but that she did not go to meet Ben.
Oh, well, good.
So I just want to like Grace isn't completely crazy. I think there's some truth in this. I saw it with like John as well. When John was trying to leave, Courtney's the things that she's taken responsibility for. I'm like it's so hard. Like I don't want to blame her, but like she's been manipulated to do bad things. Like with Grace, for example, like being told what to do and all the time. Like, she would have been treated badly by Courtney, but it's because of Ben, because Ben's getting her to treat it this way. So it has happened. She's not crazy.
Right,
But the bit
I'm
where
sure.
she starts pulling the hair and all this stuff, she's obviously in a different era of the relationship.
Yeah, the lore runs quite deep. I learned a bit, but I'm learning more about the history. I don't really know
It's really
the
complex.
whole
So
story.
yeah,
Yeah.
we
I've
don't
watched
even
the
know.
Shamus, and I've become kind of fascinated with them for some reason, and I don't know why.
It's the
Yeah,
No, but I
openness.
act like that to let her know, like,
It's the
Mom, you can't just
transparency. Sorry, Ava.
acting like this. I know you're not crazy. Wake up. Hello.
Notice she says, I know you're not crazy, but then at other times they both say how crazy she is.
Good catch.
I don't know. You know what? I'm not going to defend myself
Crazy.
anymore. You can think I abuse my mother or whatever. I don't have to defend myself. I don't have to defend myself. I'm good with what I've done. I think actually I've tolerated a lot of abuse that has made me a person who is like a shell of who she used to be. I used to be a really vibrant person who really liked performing and stuff. And now I'm like afraid of everything because I've been just like sitting there listening to her and like trying to tone myself down so that she's okay with me. Thank you, Meg.
That again
But
sounds
that
like
is exactly what she does
Sounds
for
like
Ben.
Ben.
I mean,
Yeah, it sounds more
I
like
feel
Ben.
like that's all I'm gonna keep saying throughout this entire video.
Yeah.
It sounds like Ben. Yeah, sorry.
If anything, and I think I don't think it's if anything, it's absolutely true. I have tolerated massive abuse from her that has turned me into somebody that people don't respect because I'm just like this fucking, like, I'm out of it, right? I'm crazy Grace, right? And she's done that, and I've let her do
Wait,
that.
but
Okay, that's the problem. That's the problem with my relationship with my mother.
Courtney has tolerated massive abuse and is known as
Mhm.
Crazy Courtney to the family, basically. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's Courtney.
Sorry. It's all they all project on each other. And
Not that I'm mean to her. I'm not mean to her. Seems like your focus should be getting out of the house when you can to make friends and build your own life too. Okay, I would like to be able to do that. I haven't been able to do that because let me lay out for you what the scenario is. My siblings are a mess because it's been 5 years with my mother of her acting like, I don't know, like she's like away one day and then totally different the next day, and she's like hostile and she like doesn't talk like a person and she just acts like she's like afraid of everything, even though we all know that she's not crazy, right? So then like my siblings are a mess because of that. I'm a fucking mess because of that. When is my time to work? I got toast because of that. We'd all like to come back, but I mean, when am I supposed to get out of the house? I go to sleep at 6 a.m. because I'm so wound up. The reason I'm going to sleep at 6 a.m. is because one night, like a week ago, she at 2 a.m. after we had been talking and trying to get to a place, she walked out of this house and just started wandering around the neighborhood and she wouldn't communicate with me. And I was sitting there texting her like, Mom, please come back. Please come back. Because I'm saying to myself, like, what is she gonna do? Just not come back? Like, this doesn't make any sense. She's obviously gonna come back. So can she just cut the shit and come back? And I'm sitting there fucking going crazy. And then she eventually wanders back at like 6 a.m. And it's like, God damn it, I'd like to fucking punch her in the face for doing that. So now I'm on this schedule where I'm like up super late because of that. I know you could say, okay, Grace.
What'd you say?
She'd like to punch Courtney in the face for having space, basically.
Well, right, and also it sounds like the night where she was told to leave or they'd call the cops. Maybe, possibly. I don't know.
It's all confusing, but it seems like Courtney feels like she was also in the wrong for leaving, and maybe she was. I honestly don't know the situation, but you know, I'm sure that you know there's only so much Ben you can take. I mean,
Yeah. You don't have clarity in that at all, so I can't imagine what it would be like to just want to
Yeah.
get away from that constantly. You know?
There's much different. Like, do you abandon your children that you love, or do you kill yourself?
Yeah,
Which would you prefer?
exactly. It was an ultimatum.
No escaping. It is a prison.
It was an ultimatum, yeah, for sure. He made that very clear too. Like, this is an ultimatum. Like, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if they were, you know, pushing for that. Like, you should just like kill yourself, you know?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was absolutely a thing. There's videos out there of that actual very heavy pressure for being put on her to do that. Yes, there's videos of that out there.
Not indirect pressure, like specifically.
I know.
I mean, that goes back to the squeezing of the children's hands in school, the pure sadism of him. Like, he's
Okay.
just such a piece of shit.
Wait, guys, we have Courtney in the chat saying, no, she doesn't feel wrong for leaving. First of all, I thought I was going to be able to see them. I'm assuming the kids.
Right, like
I'm
even
sure.
if I
Yeah.
leave, I can still
There's
see the kids
Mhm.
sometimes.
there's so much that we
Mhm.
don't know. A lot of it is just assumption on us. I'm sorry if we've made incorrect assumptions.
No,
Well,
I think
that's
no.
so difficult to try. When I say like abandon the kids, like what? Like no, very few mothers are gonna be okay with that. But this is the choice that
Yeah.
he's given her.
Well, wait,
And we can
someone
That
obviously
was
see
a
this.
well, someone in the chat just said you should have went by the house, but there's a video where
No,
Ben
no, no,
tells
no, no. That's to Ashley. They're saying that to Ashley.
sorry. Okay, well, never mind. But I'm just saying for people that might have said that, like, there's a video of Courtney being told by Ben, "Oh, come see your son," and then she goes there. They don't let her leave in the car because they say it's too messed up, and then call the cops on
exactly.
her to try to
And
get
They
her sent to jail.
weaponize. They
And you
weaponize the children every
Mhm.
time.
and you know Ben would be able to web her into some kind of crisis situation that would result in her not being able to leave the house.
So that's what happened.
Exactly what
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
That's what happened. I don't know if you've seen the video, but Ben
No,
just
I'm
said,
just
"Oh,
assuming.
yeah."
I think that's what he had planned that one day, R. Do you remember? When she
Right.
showed up streaming and he was so surprised that she was already streaming, like damn. Like he had something he had planned, but that she messed it all up by being live.
Right. We should watch that some other time so people know. It's an interesting video. But anyway, we can keep going.
Guys, now that I have this mic, I just like have this uncontrollable urge to do ASMR with it.
Yeah. You
Anyways.
Just fix that. Just force yourself to wake up early. But like, okay, I don't know. My dad is also up till 6 a.m. So what am I supposed to do? Just say like, is it a hotel room? No, it's a room. Used to be my brother's room in this fucking house that my fucking mother moved into with us 2 years ago, because we were gonna be a family again, and now she's fucking left it, and there's fucking dust and shit everywhere. Thank you, D's nuts.
Thorp, I'm sorry, what Courtney was saying. Courtney is saying that she became a zombie, but like, how do you deal with Ben and his fucking nonsensical anger talk for fucking 20 years?
Yes, and that's why I think like Grace's criticism's incredibly off, because like nearly all women would leave like way before they wouldn't. I couldn't tolerate that. I wouldn't be able to hang in there that long. She's done that.
Courtney is a survivor. Courtney's a survivor for sure.
I don't know why Grace isn't out selling drugs or something like she should. That's a better option.
Well, because she's giving. Oh, I see what you mean.
No, I do know why. It's because he made her believe that she is not capable of anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that I make it happen. I don't. I wake up late. Don't wake my siblings up for school. They either get to school later, they don't go because of that. I make food. I make I try to make lunch and dinner or whatever. It doesn't really happen. I'm not saying I'm some kind of like surrogate mother or whatever workhorse who's sick of it. That's not the problem. The problem is I don't even do that stuff because I'm just fucking angry that I have to do that. I'm fucking angry that I have to cook and clean for people that I didn't sign up to cook and clean for. I didn't sign up for it. It is a nice.
So it's more that like, yeah, that makes sense, because it's like, yeah, if she was actually angry about that, then she would be. I feel like she would be channeling more of that anger at Ben.
Towards her dad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get
But
mad at
she's
your
channeling
dad.
it all towards Courtney.
Mm-hmm.
This room. It is a nice room. I have no problem with this room, but I do have a problem with this room in the sense that there's stuff in here from my brother. Thank you. I don't know what the solution to the problem is, because I get you could say, oh, your mother's crazy, but she's not crazy, and if she can't live with us, then she should fucking it's not my problem to solve. When you tell me, when I get married, okay, when I choose a guy to marry, and I think I get married to him, and then I have 6 fucking kids, okay, and you tell me when all that happens, you tell me, you fix it, you solve it, then it'll be my problem. Then it'll be my problem, but it's not my problem now. And that's all I really have to say. Hold on one second. I just dropped some ash on the floor.
I'm sure it'll blend in.
Some great chats.
It's not going to go away once I end the stream. What is that buzzing noise? Mute until I turn it back on. Thank you.
I can't imagine my family
I have had a dream
so
my entire life.
immersed in my life, like especially my parents. Like if I was Grace, I'm just thinking back before you know, I'm older, so we didn't have this.
Ashley,
live.
do you want to come up, by the way, and elaborate on that?
I was thinking the same thing that because apparently something happened, and it would be interesting to hear her side of why everything went left with her going over there. Because you know they were really pissed. It seemed at Ashley and Cheeky, and was saying fuck them and all that when they were putting people out.
Oh yeah, she was supposed to go there for that. Whatever.
The House of
thing.
Wayward Hoes.
Yeah, I think he just likes saying wayward.
Yeah, he does. I mean,
I think is very normal. Like it's not even a dream. It's just like what normal people do. The dream is that I wake up when I want to wake up. I make the breakfast that I want to eat, and maybe I make it for other people too. But it's like free. I choose to make it if I want to. Not that I have to, because my mother's freaking out, and I need to hold down the fort and get everybody some calories so that they're not hungry all day. And that I do. I plan my life. I do what I want to do with my life. You in your life, Grace. That's not true. That's not true. That's what my mother tries to tell me, that I'm lazy and that's why I have all these problems. I'm not lazy. I'm a very hard worker. I was a hard worker. I fucking waitressed in my family's restaurant when I was like, younger, and I worked really hard and I really liked, like, it was like a relief to waitress because I got to talk to people outside of this fucking cult fucking family.
oh God, look, there you go. Like she's saying, it was.
I got to interact with people and serve them and work, and I really liked that. I have no problem with work. I'm not a lazy person at all. And it's not the problem with this setup.
Yeah,
it's not that I'm a lazy person and I don't want to cook and clean and help out. It's just that I've been burnt out with that in this family.
Oh no, just the idea that she was saying I liked talking to other people. Like I liked being
outside
able to
of the
interact.
cult. She even said outside of the cult.
Right. Yeah, like, and now if you say you're like once I told Grace, this is no surprise, I think your family's like a cult, she like lost it. Like one of the first times I ever talked to her on a stream.
Yeah, it's a full
like
cult.
but here she goes.
I just want to clarify, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a licensed therapist. Just
as long as you're not a psychometrician, as long as it's not a psychometrician, we'll go
No, I am not a psychometrician.
Yo, I see that air.
There's something that I don't feel like we've covered it already. I just don't want to move past it. Like Grace says here, like I don't want to be involved in this. Courtney says I don't want Grace involved in this. Who does that leave that's involving Grace in this?
That's a great point. Yeah, Ben. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
I've been burnt out, and I did that from when I was 8 to about 13, and then I said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to school, and I'm just gonna do my own thing because I'm just gonna live in my room and barely interact with my family because I can't do it. It's like a cult. You guys don't want me to get outside. You don't want me to have friends. You just want me to work for this fucking family. Mom, that's what you want me to do because you're having trouble, right? And I said, like, I can't do that anymore. So then I went to middle school and high school, and then around sophomore, junior year, my dad was like, look, there's a problem in this family. Your mom is like way off. And I was like, yeah, you're right. But it was really tricky. And at first I was super hesitant to even talk to him because I was like, you're trying to get me back into this cult. You want me to like do this thing again. I'm sick of it. I want to do my own thing. But he was like, well, I don't want you to actually do the cult thing. I want you to I want to figure out this thing with your mom, and then hopefully we can all live healthfully. Like I want you to do your own thing. He's always said that. I want you to do your own thing on YouTube. I want you to be your own person. Do what you want to do. And if you want to help me, then great. But if you don't want to, then do your own thing. Right? Okay, I'm not defending that anymore.
So look, she's saying
none of that involves going to school.
What? Like leave? Like she?
Like
why did she have to leave school?
Yeah.
Like to be with. And that this whole, she even says there was
like being your own person doesn't mean like you get to go to school and like be your own person. Like it's weird.
Guys,
it's like,
hey Coop, would now be a good time? Do you want to stay? I have to kick somebody to bring Ashley up.
Yeah, get rid of me. You got a solid caster.
Take care, Coop.
Come back.
Definitely join the next one though. Yeah.
Yeah, I will do. Thank you for having me. Nice being with you all. Bye.
Okay, so Ashley here. Welcome.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hey, sorry, I'm in the airport. I was like, oh, let me find like a quiet corner.
Wayward Hoe Coalition.
Okay, tell us your story.
So you said, you said specifically you didn't realize how much control Ben had over Grace. I noticed that too, specifically. What happened there?
Yeah, so like honestly, I kind of thought probably like a lot of people do. I don't know. I'm assuming here, but like I kind of thought that it was well, it's content. It's a show, quote unquote, right? But we had a few conversations, like Grace and I've had a few conversations off camera, which I'm not going to go into because that's just not, I'm not that person. But besides that, like I had a conversation behind scenes with Grace and Ben, where I had two, like I would call like advocates, because I was like, dude, I started to realize how fucked up they were, and like I just wanted other people there, you know. But anyway, just during the course of this conversation, which ended up being like an hour and a half, trying to plan like me getting there, what was going to go on, and like I just started to realize that it's honestly just this is my opinion. I'm not a professional, but I am diagnosed bipolar. I'm on medication. And I've struggled with that for years and years, been to a lot of therapy. Like I pretty well versed in that. And I recognized a lot of things in Ben that were incredibly not healthy mentally. The way that he acts, he's very just he's very impulsive. He's very self-centered. He's he needs to, well, self-centered, yeah, needs to be the center of attention constantly. No one else can say anything or have any ideas, because his ideas and everything he says, that's the best, you know. Even when they're total shit, you know. And me and a couple of other incredibly level-headed people were having this conversation, and it was obvious to everyone. So I that's kind of because people like Ben, and this is something, and we have it recorded, and they were notified it was recorded. It wasn't in secret. I don't do that either. I'm not a shisty person. So they know it was recorded, but the conversation was recorded, and during part of it, like Ben very clearly and classically completely tries to gaslight me. Completely tries to, I mean, classic definition of gaslighting. And I mean, me and my friend, we talked about it later, and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, like literally, like that's the definition of gaslighting. And I just feel like that's, I don't know, like something doesn't go his way, something's not quite right, and instead of admitting any fault of his own, instead of listening to anyone else's ideas, instead of, I don't know, just being a normal human that has normal human interactions and compassion, he seems to be very unempathetic, unsympathetic. He gaslights and manipulates very, very hardcore. And it to me, it was very obvious during the course of this conversation, and a few that I've had in the past that weren't on screen or recorded or anything. It started to become very evident to me. And again, I have a history with people like Ben, and you know, my own struggles. So just from my experience and my own therapy and my own whatever, you know, in my opinion anyway, sorry, I keep saying that, but like, I don't want to be sitting here making accusations that I'm not qualified to make. But in my experience, in my opinion, it seemed very obvious to me that Grace overcompensates and tries to cope for Ben. Like it's almost like she makes excuses for his behavior and almost tries to like, yeah, like tries to smooth over the shit that he does. It's almost like it's almost like I'm embarrassed for her, you know? Like it's a very uncomfortable situation and conversation to be in. And I feel like she just,
yeah.
And I feel like
Sorry,
she
she has
just
to clean up for him every time. Every time he says something weird or stupid. She has to
yeah,
kind of
she tries to kind of make it seem like it's normal, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I used to think that like, oh, this is an act, this is that, but like it in my opinion and my experience now with them, I don't think it's an act. I think it's very unhealthy. I think it's very creepy. Even though Grace is an adult, and unfortunately for her, like I'm gonna hold her accountable. I'm not happy with Grace right now. I don't hate her. I don't dislike her as a person or a human. I'm not happy with her actions and many things she said and done to me in the last few weeks. But I understand that it's coming from a very unhealthy place. And I just really, really hope that someday she can move on from that and be her own person, because I think she'd be better, you know, better off that way. But I don't know. Ben is a very toxic, in my opinion. I'm going to say evil. I think he's kind of evil. I don't really think there's much hope for him. And I
Nope.
think that it's not safe or healthy for anyone to be around him, whether they're his child, his wife, his friend. It doesn't matter. Like, that guy, he's in denial of having problems.
Mhm. Yeah.
Completely self-centered, completely narcissistic, completely
Isn't it right?
abusive, physically,
Yeah.
mentally, spiritually, sexually, in every way you could imagine. That is an abusive man. And I
It
don't know what
shouldn't
went
be
wrong with him, but
right.
it was
You
not a
shouldn't be
situation.
allowed to be around people, you know.
No, for
But
real. He's not okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to hurry because my battery is a little bit dead, and then I'll shut up. I promise. Yeah, I just got the yeah.
Ashley, when you were there, and also Ava,
I did not
you?
meet them. I did not meet them. By the
Oh,
way.
okay, all right. But you felt this creepy aura, right? Like
Yeah, we had.
it, like in real life situations, would be like a reality check for Grace, where she's able to realize that something is abnormal, which I'm kind of assume was like that for you, Ava, because you said that you felt like really kind of uncomfortable at times. But like, what was your instinct telling you
About what exactly?
when you went and you actually saw Ben and Grace in person, and you were able to sense the weirdness that is actually going on between this relationship dynamic, and Grace noticed that you noticed?
Yeah. Yeah. No, she definitely did. And then it was like immediately just, and I was not prepared. She was extremely nervous before I came. Yeah, that's true. Dude, I was just not prepared. It's crazy. Like, you see that they're like kind of nuts on stream, but it is nowhere. I'm like, I saw that, and I'm like, okay, Grace seemed a lot more chill in real life, so it'll like probably be a little bit more chill, because like a lot of people in the chat, they think they play it up a little bit for the stream. And that, like, I'm like, okay, Ben like manipulated this woman into, like, he was like a teacher, he had managed his family. Like, I thought he would be a little bit more of like a high functioning narcissist in a way, but it
Right.
was just so like much more fucked up than you can even imagine. Just like the like uncomfortableness, just like being around. It's almost like
Right.
being around somebody with like autism, like
Yeah.
unironically.
It's
And
a psychic. It's like an energy of just like
yeah.
uncomfortableness that surrounds the person.
And yeah, and she completely, like, what, adding to what Ashley was saying, she completely like tries to like moderate for him, or like be like, oh, like this is normal, and try and make him look more
Yeah.
normal than he is by like
normal.
laughing at his weird
Before
jokes.
before Ashley has to go, sorry, I don't
Yeah.
want to interrupt. What do you
No,
want to
yeah,
say
yeah.
before you have to go, Ashley? Sorry, we don't want to. We know
No,
you're
no, perfectly fine. You're
Well,
saying but
hang on just a second. I wanted to ask Ashley, did Cheeky ever go to meet them?
no. So they ended up completely standing Cheeky up.
That's what we really wanted to know, is what happened that they got so pissed at you and Cheeky. Like, what is the story behind that?
I don't know their side of the story. There's your side, there's their side, and then there's the truth. So there's three sides to every story, and I'm just gonna say my version. I believe, anyways, my impression was that in making the plans, I'm just gonna be blunt. My honest truth, I think that Ben realized that we were on to what a fucking psychopath he is, and that we weren't going to have any part of that, and that it was going to be it was three logical people talking to Ben and Grace. And I think that Ben realized, like, it's not only just going to be Ashley, it's going to be Sarah, who's a very well educated, very logical, very smart, level headed woman, and then Cheeky, who's also well educated, smart, level headed, professional guy. And in the hour and a half long conversation we had making these plans, I mean, Ben got so pissed off that he ended up, like, I guess you'd say, quote unquote, rage quitting the conversation, coming back to the conversation once. Okay, so once he quit the conversation, Cheeky started talking to Grace and was like, Grace, come on. You know that this is weird. You know that what he just said is weird. You know that, like, what we're saying is right. Like, what he's talking about is not good content. That's just creepy. Like, that's not going to be good. Like, what we're suggesting is content, you know. And Grace started to talk, and as soon as that happened, Ben hops back on all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just it was just fucked up, you know. And I truly think Ben realized that we saw through him, and I believe, I don't have any proof of this is just my impression, that Ben felt like even if I didn't show up but just Cheeky did, that he would be portrayed in a light that he didn't really care for or like, you know.
Yep.
Is what I
Yep.
think. That's what I think happened.
Wow.
So they completely stood him up, didn't talk to him at all. Poor guy flew out there, had a fucking Airbnb for like 3 days, because I didn't even meet up with Cheeky until like I was with Sarah, then we both met up with Cheeky, you know, and it was only Saturday and Sunday, and Cheeky had been there since like fucking Tuesday, just
Wow.
sitting on his ass. I felt so bad for the guy.
Yeah. Well,
And
I always thought that what Ben did is that he wouldn't allow Grace to have a friend in Ava. He blocked.
That's what I
that,
was about to say.
you know?
That's what I was going to say earlier. I'm glad you brought that up. Like, I agree with you, Ava. I felt the same way. Like, one thing I heard you say, and I'm not going to lie, like, I haven't watched a ton of it, but like, I've caught bits here and there. And I heard, I think it might have been on your stream, Ava, or maybe, I don't know. But Ava, you said something and you were like, I just wanted Grace to know what it was like to have a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that almost made me
Yeah.
cry. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Like, because that's how I felt the couple times Grace and I've talked
Yeah.
behind scenes, which again, I will never, ever go into detail on that because that is nobody's fucking business. But the couple times I've talked to her and I'm like, this girl needs a friend, man. She just needs
Mhm.
something that's not her fucked up fucking dad, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
But
I don't know.
but
But
I want
yeah,
people
they-
to be realistic that unless the person is willing to start working on changing or at least
Exactly.
acknowledge we're not going to be able to get anywhere with her yet. All you
Yeah.
can do is bring up just the
Realize
discrepancies
that
in
now.
reality and what she's saying. That's just keep
Well,
bringing them up.
unfortunately, like, she may never get to that point, to be quite honest. Like, what is she 20 or 21?
Almost 21.
21.
Almost 21. So, I mean, she's
Mhm.
very, very young, but at the same time, she's an adult. By the time I
Well,
was her age, I had already left. I'm not saying, I know this is my experience. Everybody's different and our thresholds are different. Our experiences are different. And I'm not diminishing anyone else's, but I'm saying that I also grew up in a lot of fucked upness and I left. I joined the military. I did whatever I had to do to get out.
Mhm.
Like, at some point, Grace is going to have to shit or get off the pot. Like,
Right.
and
Right.
and also at some point before she knows it, it's going to be so many years have gone by. There's no excuse anymore. You're not young. You're not this. You're not that. You know. And no offense to Courtney. Courtney got with him. From what I understand, when she was incredibly young. And there's a lot of religious stuff going on. There's a lot of. We also know abusiveness going on, and abuse in every fucking aspect of the fucking definition. Okay, and I can't even begin to imagine the emotional torment and psychological
No.
fucking like
Just can't
torture
imagine
that
how
is.
tired she is. Just
Yeah,
both
but
of them.
still, like, at some point, you've got to be your own fucking person and an adult and
You
get
have
the
to
fuck
take
out.
responsibility. Like,
Exactly.
It's like,
And
you
stop
aren't
making
going to be able to
excuses.
change anybody but yourself. You have to accept
Exactly.
that.
And the minute that Grace realizes she needs to
Just do what you
stop
can.
making excuses for the abuse and for this abusive person and let's go. I had to let go. I had to let go of somebody similar to that.
But I know
So, you know,
Ben seemed to be. I had said before when the Ava thing happened, or I said it to Grace. I said like, "Hey, well, if you do this wayward hoe whatever thing again, shouldn't you like have some real rules and just say, are you guys down with these rules?" Were they ever open to like having actual set rules, like that were understandable? You don't have to go into the detail.
are we talking about my experience right now?
Yeah. Just
Oh, I'm
like,
sorry.
like
I was reading this comment, like, that's true. Grace and Ben, they act so offended by that $200. Same thing for me. Like, they acted like I did some awful thing by not going to see them. Bitch,
Well,
I
you
bought my
did.
own shit.
You
I bought my own shit.
You
They tried
didn't
to guilt
do
you.
what he wanted you to do, so you have to get punished. That's
Well,
just the way it goes.
what
What did he say to you to try and make you feel bad?
Oh, just that, like, I don't know. They said a bunch of stuff. Literally, I don't know if you guys heard. Like they actually made death threats towards me. I don't think that part was real. I mean, obviously it was exaggerated. I'm hoping anyway. Like, it's not like I called the FBI or anything. But like, Grace said she wanted to throw a pot of boiling water in my face because I didn't want to go do this stupid program. That, to answer your question, I think RD, right? You asked that. No, there were no set rules for. The only thing I could ever. Yeah, none at all. The only thing I could ever nail down, and we tried and tried and tried and tried, and the only thing I could ever nail down was that there was going to be light BDSM, which I explicitly said no. I said absolutely zero. I only had 2 rules, and they acted like I was acting like a prima fucking donna, right? I said I'm not going to do any kind of sex shit whatsoever, because fuck you. And what the fuck anyway, right? Like, that's normal. That's a normal fucking boundary. And then 2 was that I'm not, like, Ben had this weird obsession with filming me on my knees in front of him. I said, I'm not going to be filmed on my knees. Like, that's just, no. I feel like those are 2 very fucking normal.
That is
Like, that's, and it's just bizarre. It's like, what? That's supposed to be the house for wayward hoes? So you're just going to make them act like a hoe? Your house for wayward hoes? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Another thing, once we started the conversation that kept pissing Ben off was that, like, I said, because Cheeky had gotten an Airbnb that's like not even 15 minutes away, right? It's 2 bedrooms. And Cheeky was like, there's going to be 2 bedrooms here. Ashley, Sarah, like, they can stay in 1 bedroom. Like, once we're done filming for the night, they can go stay there, blah, blah, blah. That pissed Ben off. And I'm like, he's like, why do you need to stay somewhere? Like, why the fuck would I need to stay there? What
because
the fuck
he
is
had
this?
plans for y'all once the lights went down and the cameras went down. That's why.
Precisely. No, fuck you. You know what I mean? Not you. You know what I mean. But.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder if Ben would actually. Well, actually, I don't. I think Ben would be able to do whatever the hell he wants. But I wonder what. I don't even want to think about that.
I think that maybe Ben.
I think it's a good.
Couldn't even control himself.
You didn't go.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. I think that maybe Ben doesn't even know himself if he could control himself. You know what I mean? And the fact that there'd be. The fact that I was like, no offense to you, Ava, because you didn't know what you were getting into, first of all. So when I say this, I don't mean it in any way. I'm just saying, like, the fact that I was smart enough to have people there looking out for my best interest it was the biggest turnoff. But you know what I mean. I don't mean
to.
I know. I heard you say. I just meant I didn't mean anything towards you. Okay, good. Okay. I'm not trying. I'm not a bitch like that.
No, don't worry.
That pose that he was trying to get you to get into is the complete submission. Whatever. That's the same thing that he made them both do by example. Just Hormaxer is the easiest.
Yes.
Observation of it. So complete submission to him.
And when he makes Grace get on her knees, and for hours and hours as like punishment.
What?
Yeah, that was like a thing Ben and Grace have said they do. There's even, I think, a photo of it somewhere online where she has to get on her knees on the wooden floors for hours and not, move.
Wow, what a fucking weirdo! I don't know. Yeah, he's obviously like. The truth is like he might be a tall like. Size-wise, he might be a big guy, right? But outside of physical size, he's the tiniest little piece of shit.
You're so right.
Minnow of a man I've ever encountered in my life.
Oh God, soft, and so easily, so fragile. There you go.
So fragile. Oh my God. You say one fucking thing and I just cannot. I just could not. And he got so mad at me. Oh, he got another thing. He got so pissed at me because I was just sitting there like, well, what's the plan? What trying to nail down like a fucking specific any specific plan or detail whatsoever. After a fucking hour, I couldn't stand it anymore. I wanted to stab myself in the goddamn eye. And finally, he's like, well, Grace said this. But whatever. I'm not going to make excuses for Grace. I'm just whatever. But she said, well, I just think that you just can't stand a man talking to you this way. And here's what I said. I said, Grace, I don't hear a fucking man talking to me any which way. I was like, I hear a little bitch, basically, is what I don't remember how I said it, but basically that's what I said. I was like, there's not 1 ounce of masculinity or dominance in Ben's bones. And Ben, I think that's when he rage quit. Yeah, I think he got so pissed. He was like, so this is just going to be like a battle of wills? You're going to come here and try to dominate me? And I was like, I'm already dominating you, and we're on the phone. Like, what the fuck, you know? So, anyways.
Thank you for telling us all this. I appreciate
it, man. That was a good story.
I'm gonna have to hop
he
because
is
I'm
a
like on
horrible
like
Dom.
10%.
Okay.
Sorry guys, but I
Have a good
appreciate
flight.
it too. Yeah. I'm
I
here all night.
actually-
Like the weather's been stupid, so.
All right, well, have a good one.
I also have to go to bed. I have to wake up.
It was nice to
early
meet
in
you
the
guys.
morning,
Good to talk to you,
but,
Ava.
Yeah, you too.
You too, Ashley.
Yeah.
Bye, Cog.
Okay, so yeah, it was very interesting. I mean, you can do this for forever with this family, but
Is that not what I just said earlier today, Ava? Is like there's never going to be a lack of content as long as this is going on.
yeah, I like really, we just have to have expectations that even just analyzing it would give her an opinion that's outside of her own to force into her brain. So, and that can sometimes, lead to another thought or change. But I appreciate you guys. I know you guys all mean very well, and have a good night.
You too. Have a good one.
Thanks for joining.
Well, it was a cool second episode. Maybe we'll do it on Amelia and I's channel. We just started a channel. There's no videos yet. We're gonna make a video soon.
Put it in the chat.
I think.
If you send me the link, I'll put it in the description of this
I
video
think I
too.
sent it in the there's I think all you could it's in the I sent it to you in the group text.
Oh shit.
I'll I can email it to myself. But anyway, I'm wondering what the next I don't know what the next videos we should do, but there's an interesting video where we've all seen like the stuff that Shamu put in with John and the fight with Grace and all that, but there's an interesting video where John fights back because they tell him to apologize because he made fun of some emoji that somebody posted in the chat. And anyway, I just think he fights with Grace and argues with her, and it's a good example, I think, of John really trying to he always would argue and fight back, and maybe it was because of the videos. Anyway, it's an interesting thing that we could look at maybe.
Yeah, I'm definitely curious to look at that. There's a quite a few things that honestly are way crazier than this.
Yeah, but I don't know. This was fun.
Yeah,
I hope everyone has a good
always.
night. Bye, guys.
Yeah, I'm putting RD's channel in the description right now, guys. Go subscribe because that's where the next one's gonna be.
Hell yeah! Have a good night. See you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me up too, Ava.
Bye,
And
Winter.
bye. If y'all want to have a little small wrap up chat in Discord like we did last time, or Coop's back up. Maybe he has a little something to say.
No, I'm wasting everyone's time. I just wanted a question.
No, you're not wasting our time.
Are you starting from like the thought? Like, what I'd love to see is like on Courtney's channel, like start from the beginning and work your way to today. Is that kind of what you're doing, or?
Yeah, I think that this all sprung. Literally, we were just like somebody sent like an old. They sent the female philosopher thing, and then we all came up with this through seeing that video. We were all kind of like, oh hey, should we make a video series on this? So it's kind of impulsively done like that, but I think that is a good idea, actually.
Yeah, I
don't
think it was me because I don't think I've sent that. I don't think I've seen the philosopher one, but the one that I watched was the like a day in the life of Courtney Thorp, which is your first one you did last week. That one really made a big impact on me, and no one showed it to me or anything. I just saw that and like, what the fuck is this?
Sorry, I'm getting the Discord link. I'm putting that in the chat right now.
Is this still live, right?
Yeah. I think if you want to join us in Discord. Oh, that was my that's my Discord channel. But Ashley, I will link. Are you in Jerome's, Ashley?
Am I in Jerome's? Ashley? Don't call me Ashley.
You can't give out invites, Ava, to the Jerome the one
Do it
that's
in-
like
do it
OG
in
people.
She just joined mine. I'll message you on
This
Discord,
is
Ashley.
this
I'll
is
message
a
you.
live stream of fail. Do it in your own Discord.
Peace out, y'all.